live. We are going to admit all the participants right now. Good evening, Mayor Cleveland Knowles and council members. This meeting is being held pursuant to Section 3 of Executive Order N-29-20 issued by Governor Newsom on March 17th, 2020, and all members are joining this meeting telephonically through Zoom and is broadcast live on the city's website and on cable TV channel 27.
Great, thank you, and welcome everyone to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Sausalito City Council. It is December 8th, 2020. Heidi, could you please call the roll?
Councilmember Hoffman?
Present.
Councilmember Burns?
Here.
Councilmember Cox?
Here.
Vice Mayor Withy?
Here.
Mayor Cleveland Knowles?
Here.
All members are present and there is a quorum.
Great, thank you. The first item on our agenda is approval of the agenda. And before we approve it, I was going to suggest that we take public comment on items 7A through 7C, which are our three outgoing city council members as one group. Do one public comment on that. We would do separate public comment on 7D, which is new council members, 7E, outgoing mayor, and then perhaps take 7F and G, which is the mayor and vice mayor together on public comment. But with that amendment, I'd take a motion or a discussion.
I'll move approval as amended.
I'll second.
Great, could we call the roll, please?
Councilmember Hoffman?
Yes.
Councilmember Burns?
Yes.
Councilmember Cox?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Withy?
Yes.
Mayor Cleveland Knowles?
Yes, thank you. That motion passes 5-0. The second or the next item on our agenda is special presentations and mayor's announcements. And before we turn to the main item and one of my favorite items of the year under this section, I did just want to make two additional announcements. First, I wanted to clarify an issue in response to some inquiries from members of the public. As many of you know, the last meeting of the Sausalito City Council each year in December is primarily a ceremonial meeting to reflect on the year and to provide grants to local charities and name the mayor and vice mayor. This year, as you probably also know, we had a vigorous election with 6 candidates vying for 3 seats. The vote differential between the 3rd and 4th place is 1 vote, and a recount has been requested. We've had some inquiries as to why we're holding this meeting tonight to seat the top 3 candidates. So I just wanted to clarify for everyone that state law requires that we seat the top 3 candidates at our first regularly scheduled meeting after the county certifies the election. So the county has done that, and this meeting was on our calendar as a regular meeting. So state law does require that we take action tonight. In the event that the recount requires us to take additional action, then we will do so as required. The second item I did just want to add to our announcements tonight is since we last met, we have had significant changes to our COVID shelter in place rules. And I just wanted our Director of Communications, Abbott Chambers, to give a very brief update. I know he's also been working to keep the parents updated, but it is a pretty significant increase in the restrictions. So I was hoping Abbott could briefly update us. Welcome, Abbott.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and good evening, members of the council. I will make this a quick one. So as the mayor just mentioned, the big news is that we are under a new stay-at-home order here in Marin County. Marin and 4 other Bay Area counties have voluntarily implemented the restrictions of the regional stay-at-home order that was issued by the state of California on December 3rd. That new stay-at-home order from the state is based on availability of ICU beds within a region. specifically that it's triggered when the availability of ICU beds dips below 15%. For Marin County, this voluntary implementation went into effect at noon on December 8th, that's today, and continues through January 4th, 2021. These new restrictions supersede the tier framework in the state's blueprint for safer economy, so we'll no longer be paying attention to whether we're in the red tier or the purple tier, for example. So why are we preemptively issuing these new restrictions now here within these Bay Area counties? Current ICU bed availability is at about approximately 25% for both Marin and for the Bay Area. Well, according to Dr. Tomas Aragon, the health officer for San Francisco, quote, "It takes several weeks for new restrictions to slow rising hospitalizations. Waiting until only 15% of a region's ICU beds are available is just too late." And our public health officer here in Marin, Dr. Matt Willis, adds, "Although Marin has fared better than some other counties in our region over the last few weeks, we know it is only a matter of time before rising case and hospitalization numbers put pressure on our hospitals too." And you can see what they're worried about if you look at the data for all of California. Daily new cases and daily new deaths are rising at alarming rates. And it is believed that the numbers that we've just started seeing within the last couple of days are the first indication of a surge that's expected based on holiday travel and gatherings from Thanksgiving. And we do have the Christmas holiday still ahead of us. So what are the restrictions under the new order? Restaurants are restricted to takeout and delivery only, so no more indoor or outdoor dining. Retail stores are to allow only 20% capacity, though they may continue offering curbside service and delivery. Certainly at that level of being open, Sausalito residents can continue to patronize our local retail stores during this important time for them. Outdoor playgrounds are to be closed. Gyms and fitness studios also closed. Hair salons, barbershops, personal care services are closed. And office workers are to work remotely, except for personnel for critical infrastructure businesses. And you can find more specifics at a sector-by-sector basis at the County of Marin's Marin Recovers website, and that's at marinrecovers.com. And if we step back from these specific restrictions and just look at the big picture, it's captured in this quote from Dr. Matt Willis. He says, "The message is really to stay home. This is the time to go back to that original shelter in place where your life is organized around your household and the people you live with, and you're only venturing out for the most essential needs." And just to conclude with a few final remarks, these last 9 months have been really hard for all of us. It's hard to imagine that we're going back into another shelter in place time. But we've all seen the news about vaccine studies, the vaccines being prepared and even administered in some countries, starting to be distributed in the US. So brighter days are ahead of us. And if we can just follow public health orders and make it through this tough time ahead of us, then we have so much to look forward to into our lives, returning to something that looks more like normal. So we just all need to wear our masks, maintain social distance, keep washing our hands, and stay home and stay within our household unit as much as possible. That concludes my presentation, and I would be happy to take any questions.
Great, thank you so much, Abbott, for that succinct presentation. And for your concluding remarks as well. It is really hard on everyone, but such an important time to get control before things get out of control. So are there questions for Abbott from council members? Okay, seeing none, thank you very much, Abbott, for that. Really appreciated. And I know more information will be coming out in the currents as well. Okay, so now we'll get to the real heart of our special presentations tonight. This is the award of grants from our Holiday Parking Donation Fund. to nonprofit organizations that provide services to the underserved. And we have Lieutenant Stacy Gregory here to make these presentations. Welcome, Stacy.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Thank you for having me here tonight. This is one of my favorite nights. I think this is my 6th time doing this. Adam turned it over to me. So I just wanted to let you know that, it's a tough time, and that it's probably the toughest year that many of us have ever had. And the people that are living paycheck to paycheck are maybe living now, with no paycheck. And so tonight we're going to honor and recognize and donate money to those community and county organizations that help the people that need it the most, the people that are struggling to make ends meet. And, a lot of this happens behind closed doors. We don't see it, but it's a day-to-day, every day, all year long operation. And, these organizations that we're going to talk about tonight and hear from work really hard. So as you know, every December, the city waives the parking fees on the street meters. So instead of paying for your parking time, the city encourages parkers to donate their money. And the money donated is the money that we give out tonight to these 4 special organizations. We, the police department, and I personally take great pride in the work that we do for those in our community that are less fortunate and need the extra assistance. We see it daily. We deal with it daily. We do our best. We continue to work to develop and maintain relationships with the different organizations that, again, we'll be hearing from tonight. The police department does what we can on the immediate level in the middle of the night. And then we also rely heavily on those community and county organizations that take the lead for the longer term challenges that these individuals and oftentimes families may face. So tonight we're gonna talk about these 4 organizations. I'm not gonna talk about them because I wanna make sure that they do themselves the justice that they deserve. And so each organization has a person designated. So I'll ask them to come on to the Zoom meeting and talk about what they do for the community every day. So the first is going to be the Ritter Center. And if we can bring on the executive director, Mark Shotwell. The Ritter Center is receiving a $1,000 grant from the city tonight. Mark, are you here?
Yes, I can see him. Great. Welcome, Mark.
Hi, just took me a minute to figure out technology. Thank you. So thank you, Lieutenant Gregory, and thank you, council members, for honoring the work that we do at Ritter Center in this way. This is really moving, and as has been mentioned, even more moving in such a complicated and painful year for so many people that we serve and so many people that you serve. Ritter Center, as you know, is a federally qualified health center, and our specific designation is we're a healthcare for the homeless health center. And so our population is the folks that are our neighbors that unfortunately have wound up unsheltered at times, are living in precarious housing. And our mission is to not just help them get the care that they need, but really to work towards ending homelessness for everybody that we serve. We strongly know, based on the evidence of what we've been working on here with great partners like Homeward Bound and St. Vincent de Paul and Marin County and all of you in Sausalito, that ending homelessness is absolutely within our reach. And we need to stay the course with the kinds of supports that we provide, and from all of you to be able to provide support to organizations like ours is so appreciated. Just some of the things that I would mention tonight is just some of the things that have had to transform for Ritter Center during this year. Back in March, we very quickly needed to set up how we would do COVID-19 screening for the people that we serve so that we could determine how we could begin to get them the testing that they needed so that we could be part of the solution to keep them healthy and help them to keep the rest of the community healthy. Soon, we will be on that path to ensure that everybody that we serve and many other Marin County residents get a vaccine. And so we're very excited about this next venture to be able to ensure that we can bring this pandemic to a close. Some of the other changes, we're seeing hundreds more families every single week that are coming in for food at our food pantry. That food really helps people who are low income to be able to stretch their resources, to be able to, use the money that they have, maybe to pay rent, maybe to make sure their car gets them to work every day. And if we can provide nutritious food for them, it really makes a difference. But there's so many more families that have that need. And then we have a lot of end of the year holiday programs that we do, back to school giveaways, ensuring that people have Thanksgiving meals, ensuring that people have gifts to be able to give their family members, to give their children. And we're seeing such an increased demand this year for folks who just don't have the resources to be able to do those things. So we've been just very impressed with the support from you, from the support from many people in the community through several campaigns. And then most importantly, I think I would want to mention is the rental assistance campaigns that have happened in the county, supported by many, many different people in the community, the Marin Community Foundation, the county, which has helped people to offset the realities of not having a job for a period of time and not being able to pay rent. I will say, because it may be something that you could be a voice for in your work, is that we have a lot more work to do around a lot of people who continue to not be able to pay rent and debt that's accumulating for them. So I hope in the future the county will have some legislation to help people long term. But the rental assistance has been a huge help. So, and lastly, but not least at all, a very important program that we were able to partner with you in Sausalito to launch, which is the Safe Harbor program, to begin to help people who have lived on the waters, many of them by choice, because that's been a more comfortable place for them to be, safe place to be. But unfortunately, the vessels that they live on are not safe. Many of those folks are not mariners, and we know that they get into situations all the time that are really scary for them and potentially could cost them their lives. And so the Safe Harbor program, for anybody who doesn't know, I know everybody on the council does, but is this wonderful effort to help people move their boats into marina slips so they can choose to live on the boat if that's what they feel comfortable with, but safely in a slip where they're not going to have risk when we have storms. And then we wrap these supports and services around them to help them with their healthcare needs, help them get reestablished in our community, and most importantly, helping them pursue the employment that they want to pursue. But life on the water makes it difficult to do that. And long term, that'll increase people's income and allow them to take over the marina slip on their own. So we're very proud of this effort. It's new, but it is so innovative. When I came to Marin County, I'd never worked with anybody who was homeless who had to live on a boat. And I was like, how do you get to the people on the boat? And it was like, the police take you out on a boat. And I was like, that's fascinating. And it has been a great partnership with all of you. It's been a great partnership with the police department. I've never met police officers that are like the police officers that you have, that really are homeless outreach workers right along with being police officers. You should be so proud of the work that they do. So thank you for your support. I'm going to shut up now because I've taken up too much of your time this evening, but we much appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark.
Great, thank you so much. So normally there'd be lots of applause, so I'm clapping, and we would get to shake your hand. And so I'm sorry we can't do that tonight, but thank you so much for being here on behalf of the whole council and all your great work. So thank you, Mark, and thank you to the Ritter Center.
Okay, next up we have Homeward Bound in Marin. Corey Kazenberg, who is a development specialist with Homeward Bound, is in the Zoom meeting tonight to accept their $1,000 donation. Mary Kay Sweeney, who is the executive director, was unable to join us tonight. Corey, thank you for coming and welcome.
Thank you, Stacy, and thank you to your department, and thank you to all the council members, and to Mark for your words about Homeward Bound, and we sure appreciate your partnership through Ritter Center. First of all, wow, we're so grateful to be another recipient of this award again this year. It's really important, especially during this challenging year. For those of you who don't know, I'm sure most of you do, Homeward Bound is the main provider of emergency shelter and supportive housing for people experiencing homelessness throughout Marin County. We have 16 residential programs, including the only year-round shelter for families and the only year-round shelter for homeless adults. This particular year has been definitely challenging, as Mark describes. People are really struggling, perhaps more than ever. And like Ritter Center, our clients are seeing really high needs for food. So food insecurity has been a big issue for us. We've been providing a lot of hunger relief services. And that's an area that we've really grown this year. And like a lot of nonprofits where, facing canceled fundraising events like throughout the year that we would normally have held. So your funding really comes in there to help with these food needs, economic assistance for people in our programs. Just for example, some of the work we've been doing in terms of COVID-19 relief, in addition to providing prepared meals, we've been preparing home delivered groceries to some of our clients. We're up to about 10,000 meals a month for our residents in just Homeward Bound programs alone. Plus, we're providing meals in partnership with the county through the Great Plates Delivered program, which has been a huge success. And it's been a real win-win because this money comes from, I believe, FEMA, and it's filtered through the state. And through that, we're providing home delivered meals, breakfast and dinner every day to vulnerable seniors in Marin. And restaurants also have been participating in this throughout Marin, but for us, it's our social enterprise kitchen. And so if you aren't familiar with our work there, our kitchen is staffed by people who have gone through our culinary job training program, and they're fulfilling supportive employment. So we're fulfilling a hunger relief need there and paying people to fulfill supportive employment to feed seniors in need. So that's been really great. In addition, we've waived rents for folks in our supportive housing programs for several months in the beginning of the pandemic, and now on a case-by-case basis as people are certainly without jobs and facing economic hardship this time. And so, yeah, it's been a crazy year, as you know. So thank you again for this wonderful grant. It sure goes a long way, and we are super grateful. I know Mary Kay and Paul send their best regards. We have a board event tonight, another Zoom event that they're attending. So thank you all, and happy holidays.
Thank you, Corey.
Great. Thank you, Corey. Congratulations to Homeward Bound. You guys are amazing.
Okay, our third recipient is a really fun story for me to hear, and just learning of it just this month. I'm going to invite Reverend Chip Larimore from the Christ Episcopal Church. They're receiving a $1,000 grant from the city to share the story and how they've worked on and developed a pretty awesome program.
Thanks, Stacy. Let me just tell you a little bit about what we do at Christ Church. In the big picture, our outreach programs are divided into two areas. One is care of creation, and the other is social justice. And within the area of social justice, we focus primarily on food insecurity and housing. And some of the areas or some of the organizations that we work with include the Episcopal Community Services in San Francisco, that is the largest provider of housing for the unhoused in San Francisco, the San Francisco Marin Food Bank, and Play Marin in Marin City with Paul Austin. But here in Sausalito, for a number of years, we've been longtime supporters of what was the Open Door Ministry out of the Sausalito Christian Fellowship on the north side of town. And with the advent of the COVID pandemic and the pressures that put both on food insecurity in Sausalito and also on the ability of that organization or that program to continue, Pastor Tamara Cotton at the Sausalito Christian Fellowship came up with a really innovative way to continue the work that they were doing there and help provide some of the most needy, most food insecure people in Sausalito with a meal on Friday evenings. The thing that they were lacking was some funding and some additional hands to make it work. The way that the Grab and Go program is working is that volunteers during the day on Friday compile brown bag meals that are then made available to anyone who comes to the Sausalito Christian Fellowship on the north side of town on Friday evenings. And it's all done, all of the meals are prepared safely and then are handed out socially distanced and people masked. And so it's safe both for the people who are volunteering for the program as well as the people who are receiving the food through the program. When we decided to partner with Pastor Cotton to help provide some of the funding that they needed and some volunteer hours as well for members of our congregation. And the wonderful thing is that the funding that was needed came out to $450 a month. So as we got toward the end of this year, we have been looking at our budget for 2021, and it's been looking a little bit tight for that particular program. So getting the call from Stacy about this grant was really a godsend. And so the additional funding, the $1,000 that we'll be getting, will provide for at least a little bit more than 2 additional months of food for that program. And with what we're able to provide in our 2021 budget for the moment, it looks like we'll be able to continue the program well into the summer, which hopefully will take us, fingers crossed, toward a time when the pandemic will start winding down a little bit, and hopefully there will be more options available to us and the other faith communities in Sausalito to help provide some of these essential needs that some of the members, the most needy members of our community, have. So thank you very much. We're really very grateful.
Great, thank you. Great
Thank you,
work.
Chip.
Great work, Chip. Thank you.
Okay, last but not least, we have the Sausalito Presbyterian Church. I'd like Pastor Paul Mowry to, I guess, come onto the screen. And the Sausalito Presbyterian Church is receiving a grant this year for $2,000. So come on in, Paul.
Hi, everybody. It's good to see you. Thank you for inviting me here and for your generosity, and to see all of you in this configuration, city council members who I feel have been partnering with us a lot for dealing with critical issues around homelessness and hunger. Good to see you all, and wish you well in what you do in the future. We're really glad to accept this grant. We operate a hot meal on Wednesdays and have for the past about 15 years. It's completely volunteer staffed. It's completely funded typically by members of our church who we take a special offering every year. And this year, of course, has been challenging for us, as it has been for everybody. A little bit about the Wednesday lunch. Mostly it's mariners, anchor outs, and then sometimes transient homeless people or people who are homeless on the land or sleeping in their car, or who have some shelter, some nominal shelter, but don't suffer from food insecurity. I would say that our age range is from 3 months to about probably late 70s in terms of our guests. We also, in addition to offering food, we do some clothing distribution. We also just handle a lot of miscellaneous needs. Somebody needs a new pair of eyeglasses. Somebody needs to get their boat registered. Somebody needs to call a relative. Somebody needs a computer or needs a letter, to apply or make an application online. So we try to, meet as many needs as we can, given that we have a pretty small budget and we're all volunteer except for me as the pastor. When COVID struck, we reduced our volunteer staff to 3 people so that we could maintain social distancing inside. And we had there was a lot of outpouring of people who wanted to help in some way. We have a neighbor who's been making contributions to the Wednesday lunch from restaurants, so that it supports Sausalito restaurants and supports the hungry. We have two volunteers from our church, Ali Oswalt and Aaron Maddow, who joined me when the Friday night dinner in the beginning of the shutdown kind of collapsed. And we went down there, and Ali is still there every Friday night helping to pull that through. We got on the phone. We were very involved with arranging for the emergency food pantry. Special shout out to Council Member Joan Cox, who the day that this was announced, this shelter in place was announced, called up and was very proactive about, what are the needs and what are we going to do to meet them. Kate Sears' office and Maureen Parton in her office to make that happen. When the county people had to go back to their office jobs, we've provided volunteers to keep that food pantry going. So a lot of what we do is, and then also it's just a lot of shoulders either to cry on or to think out loud with or to share their day with. It's just kind of being an ear and a heart and a hand. That's a lot of what we do. We are really, really grateful for this very generous fund, this grant, because as I said, we just run on donations mostly from our congregation and a couple neighbors, but this gives us a really, really big boost to make sure that we'll be able to keep those needs being met. We also see that there's some other big needs that we're trying to figure out, and including like something for some kind of warming place, some kind of place to congregate for those who do live on the water, just to help boost everyone's mental health, that they can connect a bit and have some human contact. Let's see, also want to just give a shout out to Stacy Gregory and to the PD and for their support. And I know that it's a policy of the chiefs that there's blankets and gloves in the trunk of every police cruiser if they find somebody who's cold. So we're really grateful. We're really grateful for the support you guys have shown for showers for the food pantry that went through like a hot knife through butter. The council, the police department, and certainly our partners, Christ Episcopal, Christian Fellowship, and Sausalito. We're really grateful to be working with you too. I'd like to just leave you with words that I leave those who gather with me every Sunday. Just as we go into the season, we call it a benediction. I think it's pretty accessible, whatever your faith or doubt or positively secular commitment. And that is just to say, life is short and we haven't much time to gladden the hearts of those who journey the way with us. So be swift to love and make haste to be kind. And wherever you go, may you go in peace. And so I wish you all well, happy holidays, and a great big thank you from all of us.
Thank you, Paul. Very powerful. And thank you for all the work you're doing. Thank you, Stacy. Concluding remarks.
That's it. This is Sausalito. It's where it takes a village. So we would now be getting up to take our group picture, but that's not going to happen. So hopefully next year we'll be able to get up in front of the dais and take our group picture.
Well, why don't you actually, let's have all our recipients, if they're still with us, why don't we hop all on the screen?
Oh, yeah, so fun.
And maybe Abbott or Adam or someone who's got their phone out can grab a picture.
Mayor, I think they actually have to say something so they're all in the screen.
Yeah, if everyone can say a word, I've got.
Yeah, we can, somebody can take a screenshot too, if you're clever.
Yeah. Mark, are you coming on?
Mark, are you still there? He might have run off.
He's watching The Crown.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, no, there he is.
All right, awesome. Okay.
Thank you, City Council, and thank you, council members who are rotating off. And
all right.
Thank you all. Happy holidays.
Thank you all
happy
so
holidays.
much.
And
if you email me, I'll send you an autographed 8x10.
Okay. Great. Next we're going to take public comments, so stick around. You might have some admiring fans.
Okay.
There any comments by council members other than our huge thanks? All right, let's open it up to public comment. Heidi, do you want to let members of the public know how they may comment on Zoom?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Cleveland Knowles. At this time, members of the public may address the City Council regarding the special presentation that you just heard. Public comment will be accepted by video or audio audience participation via Zoom. Video or audio public comment participation is limited to 3 minutes per speaker. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise your hand in the Zoom application and you will be called upon when it's your time to speak. To raise your hand from a phone, press *9. Each speaker will be notified when the time has elapsed.
Great, thank you. Do I have any members of the public who would like to speak on our special presentations? I see Julie Vieira from the Chamber of Commerce. Welcome, Julie.
Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to ask Stacy a question. Since so many people are sheltering in place and maybe not coming into the office, can they send a check donation for this parking fund, since they might not be in Sausalito and parking?
Yeah, that's a good question, Julie. I don't see why they couldn't. We'll take them. Yeah, if you write them to City of Sausalito, we'll figure it out. Thank you for that.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Julie. Great point. Any other members of the public who would like to speak? Okay, seeing none, we will close public comment on this item and move to general public comment. So for members of the public, this is a time for you to speak on items that are not on our agenda tonight and but are within our jurisdiction. So I see Sandra Bushmaker, welcome.
Good evening, everybody, all council members and attendees and council-elect. I have a couple items I want to bring up. As you know, I served on the Disaster Preparedness Committee for the City of Sausalito and served as vice chair and served my term. I am now serving on the Sausalito Village cluster groups for Hurricane Gulch, and we had a meeting last week in which the subject came up of the North Street stairs as an evacuation route. And as we know, they're currently blocked. And I would like to see, on behalf of the cluster for Hurricane Gulch, that those stairs get in repair to allow for quick egress for the citizens who live up there. Right now, they have to go around either north or south. I'm not sure exactly. It could be, yes, I think it is north or south from that area. Secondly, different subject, I would like to encourage the city of Sausalito to get in early on a vaccine schedule for the residents. I don't know if the plan for the county is going to involve individual cities working on vaccine distribution, but I would really like to see us take lead in requesting the ability to give vaccine to our residents, particularly those at risk who reside in the city of Sausalito. I don't know if it's appropriate for me to make this comment right now on yet another subject, and that is my endorsement of Janelle Kelman as vice mayor of the city of Sausalito as the top vote getter. She'll do a terrific job. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sandra. Okay, and just for other members of the public, that is an item on our agenda later tonight, the last item. So thank you. Sybil Boutillier, welcome.
Oops, what's happening?
We can hear you.
You can hear me? Oh, good. Yeah, I can't launch my video somehow.
We can also see you.
But that's, oh, you can?
Well, now we can, but we could before, yeah.
Oh, well, I haven't touched it. I don't know what's happening. Here we go. Okay. Thank you so much, Mayor Cleveland Knowles. I just actually wanted to say how much I appreciate Sausalito yet again for awarding these people who have just been before us for their really extraordinary work, taking care of not only the older adults that might be again. I'm muted again, right?
We can hear you now.
We can hear you now. You did get muted. Can we just stop the clock for a sec? All right. Okay. Sybil, can you just speak? I think you're good now.
Yeah, I don't know why it was going on and off like that. I'm so sorry. I just wanted to say how impressed and thrilled I am once again to be part of Sausalito, and a city that gives awards to folks like those that have just been before us for their really extraordinary work with not only the older adults that may be vulnerable and in difficult situations, but so many other people. And I just want to thank all of them and thank the city for recognizing them with this grant from to this grant to help them continue their really great services. So thank you so much, everybody.
Great, thank you, Sybil. Liz Chilino, welcome. Thank you for a great event at MLK Park last weekend. Was Sausalito beautiful?
Oh, well, that's exactly what I wanted to talk about tonight. I just need to start my video somehow. Well, I guess I will just speak, regardless of whether my video comes on. Okay. I'm here tonight on behalf of Sausalito Beautiful, and I wanted to thank the 54 citizens of our fair city who helped plant over 1,000 daffodil bulbs at Dunphy and MLK Park over the last couple of weeks. Our bulb planters were aged from 3 to 83, and they obeyed COVID restrictions while ignoring their aging backs, knees, hips, and shoulders. They consisted of interested neighbors, Lions Club members, Women's Club members, Cub Scouts, college students, busy families, flower lovers, and of course our mayor, Susan Cleveland Knowles. One of our planters, Christopher, chose to celebrate his 8th birthday with us by planting 25 bulbs alongside his parents and then going home to plant 8 more daffodil bulbs, which should come up year after year, reminding him of the benefits of civic engagement. And over the next few months, 4 different varieties of yellow and white daffodils will emerge in Dunphy and MLK parks for all of us to enjoy, and they'll come up year after year if we're lucky. This Sausalito Beautiful project is just one example of how citizens working together, even in difficult times, can shape a brighter future in our city. And I'd also like to congratulate, I know ahead of time, 3 new members of our City Council, Janelle Kelman, Melissa Blaustein, and Ian Sobieski. The entire Sausalito Beautiful family looks forward to working with you and continuing to ensure that our public spaces are well designed and that our parks and streetscapes are healthy, sustainable, and resilient. Congratulations to the 3 of you, and thank you again to all our daffodil planters.
Great, thank you so much. Okay, any other members of the public? I am not seeing any. Heidi, could you confirm?
There are no additional members of the public.
Great, so we will move on to our next item, which is the action minutes of our previous meeting, November 17th. Are there any corrections or do I have a motion?
I'll move approval of the action minutes for November 17, 2020.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Heidi, could you please call the roll?
Councilmember Hoffman?
Yes.
Councilmember Burns?
Yes.
Councilmember Cox?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Withy?
Yes.
And Mayor Cleveland Knowles.
Yes, thank you. That motion passes 5-0. And we'll move on to council member committee reports. And just before we make our reports, I did want to note and thank Councilmember Cox, who will continue just for the month of December to volunteer as a citizen to on 2 items, DCDC Committee on the Waterfront Issues and our Housing Subcommittee. We have several meetings that were previously scheduled, and the new mayor will make appointments to our committees in January. So thank you in advance for that work. Does anyone have committee reports? I know some things have been winding down at the end of the year. Yes, Councilmember Cox.
Sure, thank you, Mayor. The mayor and I met with Congressman Huffman on a couple of issues, one of which was the future of the Sausalito Post Office. We learned that another city was hoping to park some of its vehicles in the Sausalito Post Office lot. And so Sausalito was able to provide its feedback to Congressman Huffman's staff on that, and also on the future of the machine shop and the importance of moving forward with the surplus disposition process for the machine shop, as well as the efforts being made to preserve the machine shop and prevent it from falling down in front of us. I also attended a legislative committee meeting with Councilmember Jill Hoffman, in which we considered and postponed for further consideration possible modifications to our dog barking ordinance. I also attended a meeting with the Bay Conservation Development Commission with, again, Councilmember Hoffman. We are negotiating a settlement agreement between BCDC and the City of Sausalito along the lines approved by the City Council at our last meeting. We have another meeting with them tomorrow morning, and we hope to finalize and have that agreement approved prior to the end of the year. And finally, I attended with the mayor an ODDS meeting, and I apologize, I have no idea what that acronym stands for, but it has to do with identifying and approving objective zoning standards as opposed to the more subjective zoning standards that we currently have. And it is a nice follow on to the work of the Blue Ribbon Committee a couple of years ago, again, on which our mayor participated. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Anyone else? Joe?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I attended 2 meetings last week. One being our EDAC that continues to meet and was very proactive through their marketing subcommittee and Monica Finnegan in trying to produce some type of holiday program for the community. And this was before we had this most recent closure coming to mind. And so there was a plan to create, you know, a candy cane lane on Caledonia and use of our B of A building for children's art display for sale, as well as other vendors to come in, locally sourced vendors to do some sales, a Santa, Christmas tree, and all that. Soon to be Councilmember Ian Sobieski got us a tree donated, which you've seen now down on the fountain by that park.
Nina Del Mar.
Park commissioner here, and it was quite an endeavor that Monica took on, and unfortunately most has been canceled. But we are, and she is looking for donation of ornaments for the tree. I think the lights are going to go up tomorrow, and we'll at least have a community tree. And I think that's something that Sausalito might consider in the future of having every year, is a community tree. Those are really special in small communities, and I think we're hedging in that way and kind of reclaiming our downtown for that type of purpose during the holidays. The committee has been working on other subcommittees and items as well. Business retention, obviously, is a big key through the Cosmont report. They have been working with staff on recognizing some of our businesses that contribute so much to our community, local businesses. And you remember we had our list of 6. We kind of blessed 3, and they're continuing to work on those 3 as well as in many other items they can get into their subcommittees. So like I've said all along, it's a powerful group, and even the holidays and COVID won't slow them down. So I challenge the next council to keep feeding that committee. The other up and coming committee that I had fun with this last week was our Park and Rec Commission, and I will say Park, Rec, and Arts Commission, since they house our Arts Commission as well, public art. And that is, as we know, a fairly new group as well, just starting. And they brought up a really interesting topic that they wanted me to talk about, which was my white paper idea of a couple of years ago when I was mayor, and they want to kind of reconstitute that document for their purposes internally and potentially externally too to other committees so that people see what they're working on. But they have a good energy, good direction, and they will be incorporating, what our parks need to be looking like in the future, how we maintain them, as well as maybe establishing a little more ideas for public art and getting really involved in that space, which I think is so important and overlaps with, ironically, EDAC in ways of really improving some of the opportunities for our community and our experiences that we use to build business. So two meetings of 2 wonderful groups that are going forward. And then I think tomorrow night is Community Safety Disaster Preparedness Committee that I wasn't going to attend, but maybe I have to now as a resident, given that Joan Cox is doing all this stuff for the next month. Dang it. But I guess we never stop serving the public. So
that would be great if you can go, Joe. We'll take every minute that we can get. Okay, Ray, did you have anything to add?
Yeah, there's been really nothing that I've done apart from MC Clean Energy. I am up until now, a member of the ad hoc, they call it bonding committee, which, it doesn't mean we sit around, hold hands, it's difficult via Zoom. What it is actually a financing committee. MC is planning to go to the capital markets in the first quarter, probably of next year. Don't know the amount we're going to try and raise yet, but it's going to be a very significant financial raise from the public markets, from the municipal public markets. And that is to be able, for MC to be able to finance the acquisition of energy producing assets, in particular battery storage coupled with solar, battery storage coupled with wind. I've previously reported that MC is no longer procuring solar or wind. Doesn't make any sense. It's got too much of it. The problem we need now is to cover the hours where solar and wind are not available. And so that can only be done in a package deal with batteries. The best way for MC to facilitate that is to actually partially own it. And the only way to do that is to raise money on the capital markets. So in part because of my background of raising capital for companies, we've been, I was asked to join an ad hoc committee where we've been looking at draft documents. You can imagine for a municipal entity, this is quite a burdensome set of documents to figure out how to draft. But hopefully that work will eventually culminate in, say, the first half of next year, MC being able to launch this financing and be able to then be in a position to procure assets so it can meet its goals of trying to reach renewable portfolio of 90% by 2029. So that's the only thing I did in the last few weeks.
Great, thank you. Jill, anything to add? Great. The only, other than what Councilmember Cox already summarized, thank you. we met, the Transportation Authority of Marin met with only 2 items. One was a Measure B expenditure plan, and the second was Measure AA, which was the most recent sales tax adopted just a year or 2 ago, talking about the funds raised through that program for sea level rise adaptation. So that was on the agenda that evening. So if there are no additional committee reports, are there any members of the public who have any comments on these reports? I am not seeing any hands raised. So we will close public comment and go on to our consent calendar. We have 3 items on the consent calendar. Oh, I'm sorry, there is 1 hand raised. We will go back, assume that's for the prior item. David Moeller, welcome.
Hi, actually it's on a consent calendar item. So if you want to wait till that, that's great. Thank you.
I will, great. Just 1 sec and we'll get right back to you.
All right.
Okay, so the only item I had on the consent calendar is I was thinking it might make sense to approve of the city council calendar, approve perhaps January and February, but leave the rest of the year for discussion in January so that the next council will be able to indicate any conflicts. That will give staff time.
I believe we adopted that approach last year as well.
Yeah. So I would suggest that modification to 5B. Are there any other comments on, we have the canvas of election returns, we have the city council meeting schedule, and we have the second reading of our EV expedited charging station ordinance. Okay, seeing no other council comments, I will open it back up for public comment, and we have David Moeller, welcome. I cannot hear you. I think you need to unmute.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
We can, thank you.
All right, sorry about that. Good evening, Madam Mayor and council members. My name is David Moeller, and I live in Larkspur. Tonight, I'm representing a group of about 30 Marin residents who are all working together to accelerate our transition to electric vehicles for purposes of combating climate change. And I'm speaking tonight because I want to commend the council and the staff for adopting Ordinance 1282 at the second reading. It's item 5C on tonight's consent calendar. And this will bring Sausalito into compliance with AB 1236. And that's the California law that requires all jurisdictions in California to adopt a streamlined permitting process for EV charging stations. And what I want to make sure everyone understands is that compliance with AB 1236 not only supports more EV charging stations, but it will also help attract commercial EV charging companies to install charging stations. And it also helps Marin entities such as TAM attract statewide EV funding through the Cal EVIP program. With Sausalito's adoption of its compliant ordinance, only 3 Marin jurisdictions, Mill Valley, Fairfax, and Belvedere, will remain out of compliance. So I just want to say great job and thank you again for taking this action.
Great, thank you. All right, any other members of the public who would like to comment on our consent calendar? I am seeing none. So we will close public comment and bring it up for a motion or discussion.
I move we approve items 5A through C with the changes the mayor noted to 5B.
Thank you. Great, and a second. Thank you. Heidi, could you please call the roll?
Councilmember Hoffman?
Yes.
Councilmember Burns? Councilmember Cox?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Withy?
Yes.
And Mayor Cleveland Knowles?
Yes, thank you. That motion passes 5-0 and our consent calendar is approved. We have no public hearing items tonight, and we will move on to our business items. And just for members of the public who were not here when we started, we modified our agenda somewhat. So the first 3 items under our business items we will call together. That's the presentation to outgoing council members Cox, Burns, and Withey. And there will be 1 set of public comment on this item. So I would like to first recognize our county supervisor, who is here, I think, Kate Sears. Thank you for joining us tonight. We're very pleased to have you. And before I let you get to the business at hand, I would also like to, on behalf of the whole council, recognize that you are also an outgoing official after many hard years of work on our behalf, starting in 2011, and all your focus on sea level rise, your hard work on clean energy, your focus on affordable housing, and just so many other issues, public transportation, near and dear to my heart, and many other things. So thank you so much for that. And thank you for being with us tonight to make these presentations. I would also just like to note that we have presentations from Congressman Huffman, Senator McGuire, and Assemblymember Levine, but we are not going to read those tonight, but the outgoing council members will be receiving those as well. So welcome, County Supervisor Kate Sears.
So thank you so much for those kind words, Mayor Cleveland Mills. I appreciate it. I'm sort of on the outgoing trajectory. Every meeting I go to, all anybody does is tell me goodbye. And so I'm particularly pleased to be here tonight to offer certificates of appreciation to Joan Cox, Joe Burns, and Ray Withey. And I'm also very glad that I arrived in time to hear about the organizations that you have awarded grants to. They're all just fantastic organizations that we collaborate with at the county and are having such an impact on Sausalito and the county. And so I'm very happy to hear all that. But let me turn to the business at hand, and I'm going to begin with Joan Cox. With appreciation for 12 years of service to the city of Sausalito and the county of Marin, for bringing to the council chambers years of public sector experience and expertise from the longtime practices of law, as well as solid, hard-won land use experience from 8 years on the Planning Commission. For fortitude and persistence as Association of Bay Area Governments, ABEG, delegate, braving the headwinds of regional housing allocations and apportionment calculations served up by ABEG to help deliver a more appropriately sized numerical allocation for Marin. Your careful listening skills, eagerness to find common ground, and a collaborative way forward in the complex.
Kate, somehow you became muted.
Well, isn't that, yeah, this seems to be a special trick of Sausalito.
It's not a trick, but we do seem to be having a problem with that tonight. So
yeah,
you were only unmuted for just the last 3 seconds. So
okay. So Joan, I'm going to go on about your leadership as council liaison on a host of committees and working groups, including the Affordable Housing Working Group, the General Plan Advisory Committee, the Legislative Review Committee, and others which help shape the contours of a community now and in the future. Your consistent participation and careful attention to the long-standing, historic, and vexing challenges presented by the presence of people living on Richardson Bay, which has brought regional and often less nuanced and equitable attention to an issue that calls for wisdom, compassion, and ingenuity. Your punctual and warm presence attending a host of pandemic-necessitated virtual meetings in which we all hope for a glimpse of your beloved new puppy. And for the time, care, and consideration you have generously invested in making the city of Sausalito and the county of Marin better, stronger, and more resilient to meet the challenges and achieve success in the years ahead. Thank you so much, Joan. You know I've always appreciated you from the very beginning. And now, Joe Burns. I'm not going to talk about your dog. So, with appreciation for 10 years of service to the city of Sausalito and the county of Marin, for gamely stepping up to run for and serve on the City Council after 6 years of dedicated service on the Parks and Recreation Committee, for your participation and leadership in the areas of communications and funding on a countywide level, serving on the Marin Telecommunications Agency, MTA, the Marin Emergency Radio Authority, MIRA, and the Community Development Block Grant Priority Setting Committee, CDBG. Your good-humored and common sense guidance, honed from years of experience in real estate matters, helped lead the way on key city projects such as the Bank of America acquisition, the Dunphy Park Improvement Project, the Martin Luther King Improvement Project, the Southview Park Improvement Project, and the Robin Sweeney Park Project. Your steadfast dedication to the health and wellness of the youth and families of Sausalito is borne out in the successful development and implementation of the Martin Luther King campus and the reconstruction of the immensely popular, heavily used playing fields there, which I will tell you that my dog enjoys. Your collegial, open, and congenial style with your council colleagues, city staff, business community, and residents helped steward Sausalito through difficult times, including the mudslide of 2019, followed by the COVID-19 pandemic of 2020. And for the time, care, and consideration you have generously invested in making the city of Sausalito and the county of Marin better, stronger, and more resilient to meet the challenges and achieve successes in the years ahead. And finally, Ray Withy. And I think, Ray, I was reminded with your report of MCE how much we're going to miss you. I won't be there to miss you either, but I know the agency is going to miss you. You've just done tremendous service to MCE. But I have a few more things to say about you. With appreciation for 8 years of service to the city of Sausalito and the county of Marin, for your unbounded enthusiasm for excellence in public service by attending to city and county business with consummate care, rigorous preparation, and attention to detail, resulting in wise counsel and advice heeded. Your ability to see the forest and the trees in the complex arena of decision-making has been a hallmark of your tenure in public service. Engaged and a thoughtful listener, you choose when and how to weigh in, and your words always carried weight. Your representation of Sausalito at a countywide level, serving on the Executive Steering Committee of Baywave and Drawdown Marin, critical climate mitigation and adaptation efforts, and as a board member of MCE, has helped make these initiatives stronger, both fiscally and strategically. Your wealth of knowledge on regional and state issues and deep understanding of local government, from the finer details of policy and process to the nitty-gritty of infrastructure improvements and budget, has helped keep the city fiscally sound and on target. Your meaningful contributions to countywide leadership have included a stint as president of the Marin County Council of Mayors and Council Members, MCCMC, where you presided over evening meetings with formal decorum, as well as joie de vivre when the moment called for levity. Your attention to detail in all aspects of civic engagement, bringing both pragmatism and wisdom into the decision-making processes. And for the time, care, and consideration you have generously invested in making the city of Sausalito and the county of Marin better, stronger, and more resilient to meet the challenges and achieve successes in the years ahead. I really just want to appreciate all three of you. I think all three of you have enriched the city of Sausalito in so many ways that I touched on just a little bit in these certificates of appreciation, but in really many more ways that those of us who know you are aware of. Thank you so much as a resident of Sausalito, and thank you for your good collaboration and the fun times that we've had while all of us were in office. So there you are.
Great. Thank you so much, Supervisor Sears, for being with us tonight and for those kind words. We have another special guest tonight. We have Nancy Hall Bennett, who's the Region Director for the League of California Cities. And for those of you who don't know, the League represents cities across California at the state level. And so helpful to us. Welcome, Nancy. It's great to see you. And thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Thank you, Mayor, for having me, and thank you to City Manager Adam Pulitzer for inviting me to be on here tonight about an hour ago. So I don't have the same eloquent words as Supervisor Sears, but I do echo them. And I'm going to take a quick moment to just say some words with a grateful heart for the 3 council members that I have gotten to know and appreciate and really consider as friends. Councilmember Cox, your voice of reason on the legislative committee has always been heartfelt and thoughtful. You're crafting and tinkering with legislation until it works with legislators in a kind and thoughtful way is a skill that I know that you'll continue to hone, and I hope that we can continue to call on you in your service as a public law attorney. Joe, thanks for always making me laugh. Things can be really tough in local government, but it's always nice to have a smiling face in the room. And your understanding of the North Bay. You know every single corner of each of the 4 counties that I have the privilege to work with, just as well as I do, that I'm fearful that you may be gunning for my job, and you'd be great at it. And as you are with everything you do. You've always been a wonderful asset on the Executive Committee on the North Bay Division. And I look forward to continuing to work with you and running into you in the Bay Area, in the North Bay. And Ray, I'm gonna miss you. From the halls of the Capitol, stomping around in my high heels and you shimming along to each and every legislative office that I dragged you to the podium at MCCMC, to Vice President of the North Bay Division. You've left your mark in a considerable way. You've been a fearless advocate for understanding that local governments need more resources as they deal with the challenges of housing and infrastructure, and your work on SB1 is something that you should be proud of, along with so many other things. I'm going to miss you, all 3 of you, but I know that I'll continue to see you, and I know that I can continue to call you friends, if not colleagues, for this moment. So thank you. I really appreciate being included tonight. Thank you, Mayor.
Oh, great. Thank you, Nancy, so much for being here. So I don't know if any of the 3 of you want to say a quick anything to Kate or Nancy, if they'll be able to hang on. I have 3 long proclamations to read for you from the city. So I will turn to that. And then I know our city manager has some words before we open it up to public comment. Okay, so here we go. So this is a proclamation of the City Council, the City of Sausalito, recognizing former Mayor and Council Member Joan Cox for their dedicated service and contributions to the Sausalito community. Whereas on December 13th, 2016, Joan was sworn in as a newly elected council member, sadly resigning her seat on the Planning Commission after 8 years of service there in order to take her seat on the City Council. Whereas Joan attended 111 City Council meetings, serving as Vice Mayor in 2017 and Mayor in 2018, and yet attended many, many more meetings where she represented the City of Sausalito. Whereas Joan brought years of public sector experience and expertise from her law practice to city operations, doing her homework and always being well prepared for meetings. Whereas Joan has an exceptional ability to find missing commas or typos, a trait that resonated throughout departments and empowered staff to elevate the city's level of municipal services to the highest industry standards. Whereas Joan was a tireless worker and capable listener, striving to achieve compromise, applying an exemplary leadership, dedication, and integrity to every complex project that she tackled, including the likes of development and implementation of the strategic plan, park improvements including Robin Sweeney, MLK Dunphy, and Southview Parks. Whereas Joan served on the Sewer Committee, where the sewer consolidation study with MSMCSD was initiated, served on the Finance Committee, where they evaluated the business license fees and TOT tax, ultimately seeing the successful passage of Measures L and M, and further served as Council Liaison for the Affordable Housing Working Group, the General Plan Advisory Committee, the Legislative Review Committee, acting as ABAG delegate, along with many other boards and commissions that she served on the community. Whereas Joan spearheaded the efforts to create a waterfront management plan and a safe harbor program, bringing a positive change on our waters. all the while being compassionate towards the population of the Anchorage. Whereas Joan has been an invaluable guiding force behind the general plan update, the housing element updates, and amending the accessory dwelling unit regulations, working through budget challenges, finding long-term strategies for the unfunded pension liability, working through labor issues, and passing tax measures to help Sausalito become more fiscally stable. Now, therefore, the City Council of the City of Sausalito recognizes Joan Cox for her many years of public service while serving on the Planning Commission and the City Council, along with her countless contributions to the City of Sausalito. Thank you so much. Okay, I'm gonna need a glass of water here at the end of this. Joe, a proclamation of the City Council of the City of Sausalito recognizing former Mayor and Council Member Joe Burns for the dedicated service and contributions to the Sausalito community. Whereas on February 2nd, 2010, Joe Burns began his service to the Sausalito community when he was appointed to the Parks and Recreation Committee, where he served for 6 years prior to being elected to the City Council. Whereas on December 13th, 2016, Joe was sworn in as a newly elected council member. Whereas Joe has also attended 111 council meetings, serving as vice mayor in 2018 and mayor in 2019, and yet attended many more meetings where he represented the City of Sausalito. Whereas Joe has exhibited willingness to speak his mind on an issue that he is passionate about and strongly believed in doing the right thing for the community throughout his tenure on the Parks and Recreation Commission and on the City Council. Whereas Joe also worked with the council and staff to develop and implement the city's strategic plan, and while working with the Finance Committee, evaluate the business license fees and TOT tax, ultimately seeing the successful passage of Measures L and M. And whereas Joe served passionately as council liaison for the Parks and Recreation Commission, Community Safety Disaster Preparedness Committee, the Hospitality Business Development Committee, Pedestrian Bicycle Advisory Committee, and was a key player in the creation of the newly formed Economic Development Advisory Committee and the Love Sausalito program. Special shout out for those things. Whereas Joe's real estate acumen, guidance, common sense of humor, and overall good attitude helped lead the path in developing key projects, such as the Bank of America acquisition, the Ferry Landside Improvement Project, the park improvements for Robin Sweeney, Martin Luther King, Dunphy, and Southview Park. Whereas Joe's steadfast dedication to parks and developing facilities to service the youth of the community was a key factor in the development and implementation of the Martin Luther King campus and the reconstruction of the playing fields that are consistently utilized by families, youth, and the citizens of Sausalito. And whereas Joe's collegial approach, infectious, punny sense of humor, and stick-to-itiveness attitude and overall leadership brought the council together during difficult times throughout his tenure on the dais, and especially during the difficult times such as the devastating 2019 mudslide, the PSPSs, or the Public Safety Power Shutoffs, and throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, therefore, the City Council of the City of Sausalito recognizes Joe's leadership and commitment to the City of Sausalito has been exceptional, and he will be missed tremendously by all those he came in contact with. Okay, my last one for Ray. Proclamation of the City Council of the City of Sausalito recognizing former two-time mayor and council member Ray Withey for his dedicated service and contributions to the Sausalito community. Whereas on December 11th, 2012, Ray was sworn in as a newly elected council member, and from the very first meeting, he was always well prepared, had great insight, and an awesome attention to detail. Throughout his 8-year tenure on the City Council, Ray has attended 215 council members, serving as mayor in 2014 and 2017 and vice mayor in 2016 and 20, and yet attended many more meetings where he represented the City of Sausalito. Whereas Ray had an amazing talent for focusing on the big picture while having a deep understanding of complexity and layers of issues, and has been a guiding force to develop a better and fiscally sound community for Sausalito. Whereas Ray is a phenomenal listener and quick learner, going from "this is new to me" to being the top expert in no time at all. Whereas Ray has an ability to see through dense matters and to present different perspectives, which helped fellow council members and the community to have a full understanding of the topic in review. Whereas Ray was incredibly knowledgeable about regional and state issues and very active in regional policymaking and advisory boards. Whereas Ray has been an invaluable guiding force representing the city of Sausalito while serving on Marin Clean Energy, Drawdown, Baywave, the League of California Cities, and the MCCMC Legislative Committee, and many, many boards and committees. Whereas he was involved locally in different boards and commissions and as liaison for the Finance Committee, for which he tirelessly worked on budget issues with a keen eye on the fiscal stability of the city of Sausalito. Observing that if Ray and our fellow council members, observing that if Ray said something was fiscally sound, other council members almost invariably said, okay then. Whereas his exceptional leadership helped facilitate many notable projects, such as the housing element update, general plan update, and the implementation of the automated license plate reader system, along with development and implementation of the 6-year cycle of the city's strategic plan and park improvements for Robin Sweeney, MLK Junction, and Southview. Whereas while working with the Finance Committee on park improvements, Ray assisted in the evaluation of park funding options that led to the eventual passage of Measure F, resulting in the insurance of the certificates of participation. And while serving on the sewer committee, he helped to initiate the sewer consolidation study for the Sausalito Marin City Sanitation District. Ray was simply the glue that holds it all together, leading quietly and guiding city councils and staff to a solution-oriented course of action for any eventuality that may come our way. Now, therefore, the City Council of the City of Sausalito recognizes Ray Whippy for his 8 years of dedication and service and valuable contributions to the city of Sausalito. So thank you all to the three of you. Huge applause. And I think we'll have a chance for Joel and I to also say any personal words, but Adam would like to speak at this point. Our city manager, Adam Pulitzer. Is Adam here?
Madam Mayor, I think he might be having some internet issues, believe it or not, that he's trying to resolve.
That's okay. We have a public comment, so maybe we should start public comment and then hopefully Adam will resolve. Oh, there he is. Yeah. Okay, we won't start public comment. Hi, Adam. You've got all your.
I'm here. I do not know what. Don't know what happened.
I think we have some gremlins tonight.
Yeah. Hold on 1 second. Good. All right. Thank you. I was listening intently, and just as you were transitioning, I disappeared. So thank you, Mayor, for reading those proclamations. And definitely a theme here tonight from our supervisor and from our League of Cities, and obviously from the mayor. These are unprecedented times. I've been on the council. I've been city manager for the council here for 13 years, and we've not had a situation where we've had 3 members leave at the same time. So clearly, these are very unique times. But definitely, there'll be some repetitiveness in some of the comments, and I was madly reducing my 3-hour speech. The mayor said that I could only limit it to an hour and a half. So I've tried to eliminate some of the repetitiveness, but in all honesty, to the folks on the call here, it's great to see that we have close to 100 people here to celebrate the council members that are leaving the team today in their role as council members, and then also celebrating the council members that will be joining the team today. So it's great to see such a great turnout, and obviously all the other items that were discussed earlier in the evening. But let me start. This is also a unique situation. I was talking to our interim city manager, Marsha Raines, about this earlier. It's not common that a city manager says to the 3 people that are leaving the council that these are my friends. And I've had such a unique opportunity serving as the city manager over this period of time that every council member that I've worked with, I have fully respected, and I think I've received their full respect. But it's this last group of council members that, kind of this last 8 years where I really feel a strong relationship with each of them. I think we shared common interests, common passion, and clearly a commitment to our town. So with that, to my friend Joan. As I already talked about, Joan was elected in 2016 and served as mayor and vice mayor. But Joan was committed from the very beginning, and I think it's her life theme, which is building bridges. She built bridges with the Golden Gate Bridge in Ferry District as we transitioned from the landing to what are we actually going to do there together. The National Park Service, developing a strong and healthy relationship with their superintendent, Laura Joss, and obviously working with them as we tackled an important issue on the Alcatraz ferry project that was being proposed in the city, but had impacts to Fort Baker. Clearly, her relationship with Marin City and our community neighbors, our neighboring communities, and you heard from Nancy Hall Bennett, Joan's role on the MCCMC Legislative Committee, and that's the Marin County Council of Mayors and Council Members. So this is all 11 cities working together, and again, building bridges with our neighbors. That was a big theme, and again, a life theme of Joan. One of the things that I appreciated the most was Joan's availability at all hours of the day, all days of the week, and giving us the opportunity to meet with some of the elected officials like Senator McGuire, which we now do regularly. We've been doing it regularly for a while, including I'll meet you up in Sacramento. I'm at a conference in Napa. She was in work in Oakland, and he summoned us, jokingly, but he summoned us to an important meeting, and she got in the car and met me there. But it seems like we've been meeting with Senator McGuire, especially related to housing and waterfront issues, for this past year, once a month or so. Probably, I hope you join me with this, but we had some unique experiences too, including with then Mayor for 6 months, Mark Farrell. My first opportunity to actually meet in the mayor's office in San Francisco, and then having drinks to talk about some of the issues with the school district with former Mayor Willie Brown. That was entertaining and fun, and definitely another very unique opportunity that you gave to me, including me in that meeting. Joan, you have been always a great team player. You roll up your sleeves and you focus on getting the work done. And I can't thank you enough on behalf of the team, the department heads, your fellow council members, and all the various committee members that have served with you. You roll up your sleeve and you just get the work done, and that is tremendous. I think that, we talked about this when you were the mayor. You probably had the most proclamations, the most appointments of committee members. But I also think that your work on boards and commissions, committees, working groups, and various committees, both locally and regionally, will go unmatched. You've set the bar very high, and for future council members to serve as you have and roll up your sleeves and get things done, you've set the bar high, and I can't appreciate how much energy that takes for you to commit to that. I'm not going to name them all. They're all too many to name, but clearly your contributions to the Finance Committee, the Sewer Committee, and as we talked about, the Marin County Council of Mayors Legislative Committee. But one of the things I wanted to highlight, and was another unique experience, probably one of the most meaningful experiences for me, and that's when you and Councilmember Withey and I went up to Coffee Park on a tour led by Chief Tubbs and Chief Welsh. And Chief Welsh happened to live in Coffee Park, and he showed us where his house was burnt down. But that was a very meaningful tour, and I think it influenced us quite a bit on the importance of fire prevention and fire safety and the commitment that you had, as well as the council, in continuing those efforts for many years to come from that 2017 Tubbs fire. I don't have to go into the general plan, your leadership on the advisory committee, your leadership on the working group, but clearly you are a force to make sure that we move through the process. We allowed the public to participate. We were transparent and we allowed everyone to be heard. I think that that was your role as the chair of the advisory committee. And again, I think the work speaks for itself, and the council is now on the eve of adopting the updated plan. And thank you for all of your energy and leadership there. I'm not going to go into the waterfront working committee other than to say that with your hard work working with Councilmember Riley, the council was successful in having a letter of intent on Bridgeway Marina, which was a project that the city's been working on for probably 40 years. And it looks like the end is in sight there. So thank you for your efforts on that negotiations team. Mark Shotwell and others have already commented on your good work with the Safe Harbor program, working alongside Councilmember Hoffman. But it is worth noting and highlighting that in 3 short years, we went from 90 boats on Sausalito waters down to 9. And as the mayor pointed out in the proclamation, you did that standing with our legacy anchor outs and supporting those that needed help, as Stacey Gregory said in her presentation. And so I think that that is really worth noting and highlighting in some of your big accomplishments there. So let me end with this. I mean, I could go on and on, Joan, you know that, and you didn't allow me to go on and on when you were the mayor. So I'm going to end it now by saying this, that it really has been my true honor. Try not to get emotional here, but it's been my true honor, Joan, to stand with you. You have served Sausalito and its community with honor, integrity, and distinction. And with that, my friend, I wish you the very best. I'm going to move on to Joe and Ray here. And again, I tried to eliminate a lot of the repetitive things here, so please bear with me. Joe joined the council in 2016, as already said. But here's what I love about Joe, and this is how he would introduce himself at some of our recognition events, but just call me Joe. Since moving to Sausalito, Joe has always been involved as a volunteer in so many different things, coaching girls softball, coaching young adults, serving on the Parks and Recreation Commission, and obviously serving as a city council member. Joe could be seen dragging the field out there, seen parking bikes, directing traffic, texting me while he's directing traffic. Why isn't anyone out here directing traffic? Obviously, he was involved in lots of, as the mayor and vice mayor, lots of regional and state and federal meetings. We met with the Federated Indians of Great and Rancheria to talk about some of the sensitive areas of Dunphy Park. And he did a masterful job of gaining their trust and getting their support as we move through that very difficult project. I'd like to highlight, Joe's best quality, and you heard it in, I think, Supervisor Sears' remarks, is that Joe makes everyone feel comfortable. He makes everyone feel important and that they are all going to be heard. As long as he has to stay there to listen to anyone in a public meeting, Joe will stay there and make sure that everyone is heard and everyone feels that they get to participate in the process. So I really appreciate that ability that Joe has to make people feel comfortable. Joe, like his fellow council members, served on several boards, commissions, committees, and working groups. But one of the ones that's most notable to me is his efforts with the Pedestrian and Bike Advisory Committee, especially when we were focusing on the downtown circulation. don't make the mistake of saying downtown congestion. It was downtown circulation that we were improving and working on, but also the transition from that downtown circulation issue to the rest of the bigger picture that he helped the pedestrian and bike committee focus on, some of the long range planning needs and circulation needs of the city for both pedestrian bikes and on all types of vehicles. And I think you can see the good work of the PBAC that Joe transitioned to Susan successfully over the last several months here. I think the other very noticeable contribution, and you heard this earlier too, and it's worth repeating, is his real estate background and his support with the city staff and with the council moving us through the B of A acquisition. That was a big decision for the city, especially a risky decision during the pandemic and the economic downturn, but you had to see the big picture, and Joe saw that. And Joe obviously had a good role in leading the council in that decision, and then working with community leaders on the visioning process. And I hope, Joe, you stay involved in that visioning process and help us land a terrific tenant in that location for the long run, and then work as a volunteer in the short run on how can we use that space while we seek out the tenants. But again, your role in that process, and then engaging the Economic Development Advisory Committee, a word that we weren't allowed to say out loud when you first joined the council. But I think that was, again, one of your contributions on the Finance Committee was to really have the council invest in economic development, and forcing the council to put $50,000 in the budget for, we didn't know what it was going to be used for, but clearly it was able to be used for the Cosmont study, and then eventually helping the staff interview and appoint by the council the 12-member advisory committee that was appointed back in May. So that was a big effort, going through all of the applications that we received, and then obviously working with the council to interview them and make a recommendation. But I think the city's in a stronger position today than it was when you first joined the council, and that played a big role. I'm going to wrap up by saying this, is that Joe said this at one of the holiday parties, which he and I have a unique relationship. His daughter and my daughter are friends. They're the same age. My youngest daughter and his daughter are friends. And his daughter is an incredibly talented in a lot of things, but she was a talented softball pitcher. And I learned quickly when it was time to recruit pitching and softball. And the bonus is that when I got Annika on my team, I got Joe as a coach to coach with me, which obviously was a great opportunity for him and I to get to know each other out of City Hall and on the field. So over the years, we've coached together and we've coached against each other. And so, I just want to thank you, Joe, for your friendship on and off of the field, in and out of City Hall. I know that friendship will continue for years to come. I could see us both coaching at Tam High School, where I graduated from, and where your daughter is now attending. Maybe you and I will be coaching that softball team sometime in the future. But again, most importantly, thank you for your role, especially making all of the city's staff feel welcome, make them feel heard, and make them feel that they're involved in the decision-making. And thank you for your role bringing the council together and our community together. So thank you, Joe, for your service. Ray, I had about 20 pages and I just had to put these into big buckets. So I'm going to move to yours fairly quickly, because none of this will come to news to anyone. You've heard some of it. But Ray, as you heard, joined the council in 2012. Ray, I feel like you've been on the council my entire life. It just feels like you've had such an impact on our services and how we deliver services from the beginning of when I joined the city. So I was actually quite surprised that you joined the council in 2012. It feels like you've been on for quite some time. But Ray has served as the model council member for all that have worked with him and all future council members. Many members of the team look at Ray as the Bill Walsh of council members. Many of you know Bill Walsh was the former 49ers head coach. But like Bill Walsh, Ray reinvented local government, starting here in Sausalito. He first started with how we were presenting and preparing the budget and how we were transmitting that to the public. He then expanded the strategic plan from a one-year document to a six-year strategic planning tool. He loved the priority calendar. That's what the one-year document used to be. And he called me into my office one day. He called me into my office, said, we got to talk about this priority calendar. It absolutely makes no sense. And that was really the beginning of a beautiful relationship between Ray and I. You know, as you all know, Ray would state that our strategic plan is multi-dimensional and an ever-evolving microorganism. And you got to continue to feed it. It continues to evolve. Ray has had his fingerprints all over the evolution of local government here in the county and within the Northern California region. Ray is a natural leader, and over the past 8 years, Ray has served on many local and regional boards, commissions, committees, and working groups. Too many, obviously, to list tonight. But one of the most influential positions that Ray held was as president of the Marin County Council and Mayors and Council Members, and then later in his leadership role on the League of California Cities North Bay Executive Board as vice president of the North Bay Division. So that's why I say that Ray has had his fingerprints, you know, on the county and here in the North Bay of the evolution of local government. We've had to change, and Ray recognized that and helped the local leaders here in the county achieve the changes that were necessary. I'm going to skip through all the finance committee. I'm going to skip through the general plan efforts, the efforts on the Marine Ship Steering Committee, and pause and just look at the last things here. Oh, the last thing I wanted to point out here of Ray's contributions, and it really is worth noting because I haven't experienced this before either, which is the city of Mill Valley reached out to us and asked if Ray could represent both the city of Sausalito and the city of Mill Valley on the Marine Clean Energy Executive Board. And they have done some extraordinary work, but to have another city ask another council member to represent them is obviously the highest compliment one can give. That expertise serving on the Marine Clean Energy's Executive Board also earned him an invitation to serve on 2 county committees, Drawdown Marin and Bay Waves. So I'm going to end there and just thank you, Ray, for your contributions. Knowingly or unknowingly, you had a tremendous influence on my career and you made me a better leader. I wish you all the best in the future and look forward to working with you on a variety of other projects as our lives continue to stay connected. So thank you, Ray. Thank you, Mayor, for allowing me that time, and thank you to Joan and Joe and Ray for your friendship and just your exceptional leadership for these past 4 years and obviously the past 8 years with all of your efforts. It's worth noting, you know, Joan has been a part of the Planning Commission, so I feel like Joan's another one that I've been working with, you know, for the last 12 years. And then Ray, before he got on the City Council, was involved in construction time limits, housing element, and fire consolidation. So again, you know, it just feels like my entire time on the council, I've had this great opportunity to work with each of you closely. So thank you again.
Great, thank you so much, Adam. Jill, do you have anything to add?
Sure. Were we going to do public comment or are we going to roll into ours? I can do either one.
Either way, we can take public comment now, or we can, okay, we'll take public comment.
Yes. Okay.
Great. Are there any members of the public who would like to speak? This is items A through C. We have David Sudo. Welcome.
Hi, good evening. I just would like to thank the 3 outgoing city council members for their service over the last 4 to 8 years. And I think the biggest testimony to their work, besides everything that's already been listed, is the fact that 4 years ago, no one wanted to run for city council. And this year we had 6 people running for 3 places. So I think, you know, that's a large testament to the people who on city council and the efforts they've made to make it a collegial place where people want to give input to the city. Thank you.
David, did you buy a pig?
Sounds like somebody's animal has a chew toy is what that sounds like. Either that or we're being bombed. Thank you, David. I think I see Peter Van Meter. Welcome.
All right, thank you. Yes, I think one of the wonderful things is that this council, with the contribution of the 3 departing members and the rest of you, has been an extraordinarily productive council. Very good working together. And the contribution of each of the people has been so important to that. As an observer here over many, many years, it always hasn't been that way. And I think each of you has made an important contribution to that happening. It's impossible to really add comments beyond what's been said already. I thought that Kate Sears' remarks, proclamation was just perfectly right on. Thank you so much for that, Kate. And by the way, thank you for your service as our supervisor as well. But the only thing I could highlight is that Joan really has the characteristics that I think every council member should aspire to, and that is thoroughness, doing your homework, following through, and keeping us on schedule. I mean, these are just fantastic capabilities. And Joe, your forward thinking and creative ideas have been so stimulating and interesting on so many circumstances. And I particularly like your attention to youth in the community, the fact that you've been very much involved in our school situation as well. These are so important additional attributes that you brought to the town. And finally, Ray, your financial acumen, your ability to take the long range picture, have the same time the attention to detail, cut through the BS and get to the point of any topic that's being discussed has been so important and such a major contribution to the city. So both of you, our 3 of you, have just been so wonderful. Thank you so much for your service.
Great, thank you, Peter. Alice Merrill, welcome.
Hi. I'll turn on my video. Hi. You all have done a lot of work. You've been dedicated. You've done so many things. But I just really want to say thank you to Joan, because what you have added, brought to, cared about with incredible integrity and friendship of so many people, and your open-heartedness has been to humans, to human beings, has really been wonderful, and I thank you.
Great, thank you, Alice. All right, I do not see any additional hands raised, so we will close public comment, and I will start with Jill if she has any comments.
I do have some comments. They're going to be quick though, because I know that I'm a fast talker, luckily. You know, people who haven't served on the city council may not understand that the city councils, the 5 of us, have a very special relationship. Sometimes it's a little too close to being like a family, but at the end of the day, I think especially this council has been a real pleasure to work with. And at the end of the day, we have a lot of respect for each other, and we really do honestly try to get to a decision that all of us can live with, representing the different perspectives that we bring to the table. And thank God we're also accomplished in the different things that we bring, different talents that we bring. And, you know, I'm constantly amazed by the level of talent in the city of Sausalito as a whole, but also the talent of people who will run for city council and sit on city council and become immersed in the complexities of the things that we do. And, you know, you've heard, you know, the descriptions from Kate and Adam of the different things that we all become experts on during our time on the city council. And that's so true of the three that are that we're talking about tonight. And Joe, specifically, I want to thank you for your tremendous work on the parks in our town and how far we've gotten with rehabilitating these three assets in our town. And also the tremendous work with the business community as liaison with the business affairs community that you and I started on, and then the transition of that to the economic development affairs committee, which is just a powerhouse committee. I mean, it's just amazing. And part of that too is bringing in other people in the community and giving them substantive platform to contribute to our town. And to keep people engaged, that's very important. And I think that committee especially has been really, really great, really wonderful. And it's been a pleasure getting to know you over the past 4 years. Ray, I can't tell you, man, talk about in the trenches. You're the only remaining person that was on the committee when I was first elected back in 2014. And I want to thank you personally for your generosity and patience with me. When I was a new city council member, I'm sure I was stepping on toes a lot those first couple of years, but I appreciate your efforts to support me and my figuring out, you know, which door to open in the city council. And, you know, as everybody else has said, I worked with you on the finance committee for 2 years, and the heavy lift that was, and your attention to that was really just phenomenal. And the amount of time that not just you, but everybody, all of us donate to the city council, but the time and effort that took and the other initiatives you've taken on, I really appreciate it. And also personally want to thank you for last year when I was getting ready to deploy and supporting me in doing a smooth transition while I was gone and a smooth transition back. And I can't tell you, that was one of the biggest things that I was worried about. I knew my family would be fine, but but leaving the city council in good stead was a real worry of mine, and I want to thank you for that. And Joan, you know, there's no protocol for what's going on right now. I mean, you know, so I'm not going to say goodbye because we have a meeting tomorrow morning. So, you know, or farewell. In fact, I'm not saying farewell to any of you guys because that's the other thing, right? Like, we have a very deep bench now of city council, former city council members, of the expertise that we can still rely on and draw from. And so, you know, Joan, I can't. What is my time up? Joan, I can't tell you, you know, the amount of work that you have done is just amazing to me, and especially the amount of free legal advice that the city has gotten through your efforts is just amazing. I mean, that, Ray, I don't know, the budget, we might have just balanced the budget just based on that alone. But, you know, the work that we did, your assistance when you came in and came on board with finding a solution to how we could move forward with bringing the waterfront under control and better manage the waterfront, was just phenomenal, and really pulling every idea out of the hat and trying to figure out how to work our way to a solution that really spoke to everything that we were trying to achieve, right? So, you know, making our waterfront more safe, but also serving those people that were living there in a compassionate way, and making it a more safe environment for everybody was our big concern. And I think we did it, and we've gotten tremendous response and support back from not federal, but local and state agencies on that effort. So, you know, it's very proud. And for all three of you, since you came on the city council, the city has changed dramatically in positive ways. It is not the same city when you were elected, whenever it was you were elected. So, and through directly your effort. So thank you so much for all of your effort. And I look forward to seeing some of you tomorrow working on things and in the future. So thank you.
Great. Thank you, Joe. Those are amazing comments, and I think they reflect a lot of what I wanted to touch on just personally beyond the proclamations. And I would just agree with Peter Van Meter that Kate Sears really hit the nail on the head a lot with her proclamations. So thank you very much to Kate for that. So, you know, I think what a theme that we've all been talking about and what I've really valued just for the 3 years that I've been on the city council is just the amazing sense of camaraderie. Jill, you touched on this, and collaboration that we have been able to establish. And that has really meant more than I can say this year, with one challenge after another kind of being thrown our way. Having a really strong and cohesive team has really meant the world. It's not any one of us doing anything, but it's all of us bringing, you know, all of our various specialties and expertise, and finding the right niches for all of us. You know, and Ray and Joan, when I was thinking about you guys yesterday and today, I realized I met you both in 2007 on the Housing Element Task Force. Ray and I were citizen members, and Joan, you were a member from the Planning Commission. And then we kind of evolved, and Joan, you and I were on as planning commissioners, and Ray was on as a city council member. And I really thought about how much both of you have mentored me in kind of getting my sea legs in terms of being able to work effectively on our local boards and commissions. And you've just both taught me so much about kind of the realities of local government in Sausalito, the importance of doing your homework, analyzing the data, listening to the public, and the art of engaging in sort of a meaningful, productive dialogue at the dais. And that's a really hard skill. And I can't thank you enough, both of you, for helping me with that. I think Adam already spoke to this, but Joan, I really admired your theme when you were mayor of building bridges and all of your tireless efforts on behalf of the city. I feel like you have twice as many hours in your day as I have in mine. And I just can't believe how much you're able to accomplish. And especially a huge thanks for working with me over the years, and sort of the art of when to compromise and when to respectfully take a separate path. So thank you for that. And I don't think we'll ever have anyone on the city council who can craft a motion on the fly like you can. That is your superpower, as my kids would say. And Ray, just personally, I can't tell you how much I'm going to miss you on the council. You have your analytical mind, your vast knowledge, your sound judgment in matters big and small. You've reinforced to me the value, as Nancy said, of our regional and state connections, and you've built really great relationships. And I think that not only reflects well on you, but that really reflects well on the city of Sausalito. We are now well known throughout the region and the state, in large part due to your efforts. I also feel like you've really, I think Jill touched on this, really taught me the value of when to listen and when to speak, and to pick those moments carefully. I'm still learning, but thank you for that. You have a wonderful sense of timing. And when you speak, to make it count. And I think you're one of those people who makes every word count when you do decide to speak up on an issue. I also want to thank both you and Flynn for your friendship and the warmth that you've extended to Jeff and me and our family. So thank you. And Joe, personally too, we've been through a lot together. I met Joe when our kids were tiny 2-year-olds at Sausalito Nursery School. And we have raised our kids together, worked side by side at the nursery school and at Willow Creek. And I think I just want to thank you for your passion for children and families with children, and making Sausalito a welcoming place for them. You've worked so hard on that effort, and I can't thank you enough for really changing that aspect of this town. It really did not feel that way when we started out, and I see all the kids playing at Robin Sweeney now, and I think there's been a huge shift. So thank you for that. I love your call it like you see it approach. And I think you're one of the most authentic people who I've run across in public service. There are a lot of elected folks who do not have the authenticity and the sense of purpose and straightforward honesty that you bring to the discussion. So I want to thank you for that. And I just know that our meetings are not going to be the same without you to add some levity, especially towards the end of the night when things are either tense or we're tired or both. And you've always been able to just with a couple of words bring the perspective that we're all lacking and make us laugh. And somehow that allows us to get back to work with a much calmer and more charitable opinion of everything. So thank you so much. Thank you all three of you for everything. Means so much. So now I'll open the floor to you all for any comments. Joan, do you want to start?
Sure. Well, first, I want to express my sincere thank yous to you, Mayor, our Vice Mayor Ray Whitby, and Council Members Burns and Hoffman, as well as to our incoming Council Members Janelle Kelman, Melissa Blaustein, and Ian Sobieski. For our existing council members, it has always been clear to me that you love this city. You take your roles seriously. You've sacrificed a lot in service of this community. You believe, as I do, in doing the right thing for the right reason. And individually and as a group, we've protected this city and made it better. On any given council agenda, we undertake decisions that will impact several generations on topics ranging from police and fire protection, budget, taxes, the waterfront, the health of our businesses, trees and views, transportation, parking, road maintenance, homelessness, housing, parks, land use, cell service, the National Park Service, the Golden Gate Bridge District, the school district, disaster preparedness, climate change, and diversity, to name just a few. And to do all of this, we attend council meetings, board and commission meetings, community meetings, liaison meetings, public events, and perhaps most importantly, meetings with our constituents. And we invest the time to prepare for each. Our council packets are typically more than 300 pages. It's a lot of time, and we sure don't do it for the money or the recognition. The level of service each of you has provided despite life's other challenges is remarkable and inspiring. I am proud that we turned a culture of divisiveness into a culture of collaboration and productivity. I'm proud that even on issues about which we initially disagreed, we navigated our way to 5-0 votes in almost all instances over the last 4 years. As has been said this evening, my motto as mayor in 2018 was to build bridges, not walls. And we've done that throughout the last 4 years with our various regional partners, including National Park Service, Golden Gate Bridge District, County of Marin, Richardson's Bay Regional Agency, Bay Conservation Development Commission, and so many others. And so I just want to reiterate something the mayor said. For those of us who are not returning as city council members, while we have more than earned a break, in this time of transition, both in leadership and in response to a global pandemic, I believe the city still needs us. So I encourage all of us to give the city the benefit of our wisdom and experience in whatever role we choose moving forward. The great thing about Sausalito is that we are spoiled by the wealth of volunteers who contribute their wisdom and expertise. And as a result, you don't need to hold a title to make a difference. You simply need to share your views, because our leaders appreciate all perspectives and carefully consider all feedback. And to those who are returning, including our newly elected mayor and vice mayor and council members, I thank you for the willingness to serve and what you're about to undertake. I encourage you to continue to demonstrate that decision makers with disparate views can actually get along, make hard choices, and enjoy each other. More than once, we have shown that we share many common values and we come together for the common good. So I end with the 2 words I started with, and they do not begin to express how grateful I am to each of you, but thank you.
Great, thank you so much, Joan. Really thoughtful.
Dang it, I have to follow Joan.
Go for it, Joe.
Thank you, Jim. I'll make this quick. Tonight is really about 2021 and beyond, and we have such a bright future with this incoming council and leadership. However, I think the three new council members have already fallen asleep because they still have to build up their stamina for these meetings. But I hope they still are here. I want to start with a thank you to Adam, and I know we have to get to him tonight as well, but you have made this process and journey so special. And as you mentioned, so many of the parts of the relationship that we have, but you're a best-in-class city manager, and it's been a privilege to work with you, and I congratulate you on all you've accomplished and your next transition. I want to thank your staff, each and all, for making us look good and for their dedication, often behind the scenes, to this community. We heard it again tonight when Mark from Ritter commented on our police department and how special that group is. And across the board, our employees and our staff and our senior management and our city manager are just top notch, and you make us look good and you make our city so much better, and we really appreciate it. And to my colleagues, what an honor. There's a sports analogy of retiring players, and they always say, I will miss the locker room the most. Well, the residents don't have to worry. We don't have a locker room here in Sausalito, but we do have Smitty's, and we did have MCC, MCCCM, CCMC, and there were league conferences, and there were pre-meeting salads, and we built up a really great camaraderie. And I've learned so much from you, and I respect each of you for your professionalism and your commitment to this town. And Mayor, I'm so impressed with what you did this year. The hardest year a mayor's had to have, and it was assigned to you for some reason, and I don't know why, but Sausalito needs you again to really have you as a mayor. So I'm going to start the two more terms committee for you. And Bill, thank you for your great words and kindness and building that relationship over the years. Ray and Joan, you guys are great. We have so much work to do. And I also want to thank Tom Riley for his involvement this last year. So thank you all. And finally, I want to thank all the residents, even those that disagreed with me in a harsh manner, because you are all vital to a part of an experience that made me better. And I'm not sure I even recognize the guy that sat down here 4 years ago. Just what I've experienced and what you've allowed me to contribute and take from this community has been, as far as knowledge, has just been so rewarding. I'm a better civic leader now. I'm a better friend. I'm a better real estate agent. I'm a better dad. And I really appreciate the opportunity to serve and to have that opportunity with this community. So thank you very much. I was going to thank my daughter, and I think she's long gone as well, for putting up with this last 4 years, but she's already off to her room. But it's been a pleasure, and it will continue to be a pleasure to work in this community with this group, with this new leadership, and with all those involved. So I just heartfelt thank you to this community.
Great, thank you, Joe. Ray, the floor is yours.
Wow. I've got nothing left to say. It's all been said. So this could be brief. My message is simply thank you. Not to any particular individuals, but to whole groups of individuals. And let me start with our two guests who are here tonight, Supervisor Kate Sears and Nancy Hole Bennett. Thank you so much for coming tonight. You're both, I regard you both as my very good friends. And Kate, I've worked with you for 8 years now, I guess, on primarily MCE, but then more recently on the other county stuff we worked on. And also our conversations, what most people probably don't realize is that Supervisor Sears and I used to arrange to have a breakfast, maybe once a month, once a couple of months, and we talk about Sausalito, talk about the county, and through that, month after month, year after year, we'd figure out how the relationships between the city and the county could better work. And I think those were very productive. Kate, thank you for your words tonight. And Nancy, thanks so much for showing up. One of the great pleasures of my tenure has been working with the League of California Cities. And that has been primarily enabled, catalyzed, and helped enormously by you, your wisdom, and your friendship. So thanks for showing up. Thank you very much for coming. On the theme of thank you, it's, I think, important to recognize the transformation, which others have alluded to, of our city council. President Bill Clinton famously once said, you know, politics is a noble profession. It doesn't have to be a blood sport. And I remember when he said that many years ago. And I took that to heart. And one of the things that I know 4 years ago, when Joe and Joan and I were running, is that we made a commitment. We made a solemn commitment to each other and to the residents that we would act collaboratively. We wouldn't always agree. You're not supposed to. You're not supposed to always agree, but we can do this with good spirit, collaboration to try get to a good result. And who are we working for? We're working for the residents. We're working for all the stakeholders, and that's our job, to work together well, to be able to achieve good results for everybody. So my first group of people that I want to make sure, in addition to our guests, make sure that I say a great big thank you to my colleagues. It's been a wonderful experience. It's been a truly wonderful experience. And there's been, I was thinking through in the last 8 years, Adam mentioned I was mayor twice, but there's been, therefore 6 other mayors. Herb Weiner, Joan, Jill, Joe, Susan. Who have I left out? Have I left out anybody? Tom Theodoris. I think I got them all. And both as mayors and all the other council members who serve with us. It's been a wonderful experience, and I hope our residents, I believe, do see that local government can really work. And I hope we've shown that, and we've provided a role model for the next and future councils. I came in with a couple of goals, a few goals. Strong finances, we don't need to talk about that. We understand that the city has thankfully, over time, long before I started on the council, developed a robust, strong financial posture which we've maintained. And the key credit to us is we maintained it and built it. But we didn't start it. And to those who did, and I'll come to those in a moment, to those who did, they left us a legacy and shoulders to stand on and build. And that was profoundly important. We, with all of our difficulties, and boy, do we have some difficulties coming up, we nonetheless remain in a strong fiscal position. We're going to have tough times, but we're better off than many. The other was our infrastructure. You know, when I first came onto the council, everybody assumed that our biggest threat was pension costs. And sure, it's important. It's really important. That's why I rejuvenated at MCCMC our pension analysis and committee, which actually produced, I think, a fine report. I was a minor author. I had really nothing to do with it other than encouraging and catalyzing it. But the important thing is, and it's one of the things about finance, municipal finance, which is actually quite complicated, is that it takes a while to get a feel for what's important. Which are the drivers? What are the items that are going to actually matter? And the liabilities inherent in a lack of infrastructure investment are so much greater than our pension costs. And you only get to understand that once you get to feel for how the hydraulics of finance, of municipal finance works. We need to focus on pension costs. We need to focus on all areas of government to make sure they become more efficient. And one of the areas in which you do that, I believe, and Adam alluded to it, he's way too kind to say I've reinvented local government. I'm not sure I'd go that far. What I have done, however, is get across the message that in order for small jurisdictions like us who are on the wrong end of the economy of scale, and what do I mean by that? I mean small jurisdiction that is trying to be a full service city, providing all of the services. If you're a small city, it's tough. How do you solve that problem? You collaborate. You collaborate with your neighbors. You actually start building scale through relationships with other cities. And I began, as Adam alluded to, one of the first things I did was work on the fire consolidation and merging our fire district into Southern Marin. We're now, 8 years later, talking about looking at the feasibility with Councilmember Cox's collaboration, looking at the sewer consolidation because it makes sense. Well, that is one of the futures of local government. We are going to have to work more and more with our neighbors, with our partners, in order to be able to achieve the scale that we would not be able to otherwise. To our incoming, very talented council, I said again, President Bill Clinton said, local politics is a noble profession. I truly believe that. You are entering a job that you, quite frankly, don't yet understand. You're also entering a job that is much more complex and much more taxing than you realize, but I have every confidence that it will all work out. You've got great challenges ahead, but I'm hoping that we've helped a little bit to show the way in which we can all work together to solve those problems. So please try and maintain the relationships with the county, try and maintain the relationships with our regional partners, join the League of California Cities, get to know Nancy Hull Bennett and understand what the League can provide you. And even in these times of virtual meetings, and, no, you won't be going to Sacramento in January, unfortunately, to join the new council members and mayors academy of the League, because it's all virtual. But you will learn so much from collaboration with your colleagues. I've learned so much from the colleagues throughout the whole of the county and through the whole of the region that has left me both with friendships, but also with enormous insight. I'd like to thank very much our residents and friends that make Sausalito unique. I have said every year, I think, for the last 8 years, that one of Sausalito's greatest source of competitive advantage is its volunteers. It's an enormous number of volunteers and the spirit of volunteerism, whether it's just helping out informally, whether it's through our nonprofits such as Sausalito Beautiful, our Historic Society, or our Chamber, the Art Festival, our sister cities, many of the programs. And if I've left somebody out, sorry, the trouble is you start naming names, you're going to end up leaving somebody out. So if I've left you out, sorry. That's one of our strengths, but also our boards and commissions. One of the things that I'm really proud of in the last 8 years is that we have actually grown, I think, and enhanced the importance of some of our boards and commissions beyond our statutory, necessary ones like Planning Commission. Bike and Ped, which Herbie rejuvenated in 2013. Our Sustainability Commission, which is now recognized as one of the leaders in Marin County. All of the other boards in Parks and Rec and many others that have bring together our residents in a slightly more formal way to give us our input. It's an amazing strength of Sausalito, and future City Council, please nurture and protect those. It's really important. I've probably, as I said, I had to cut down what I was saying. Don't worry, Madam Mayor, I did promise I'd keep it short. But I think the other important thing I want to really end on is the concept of team. I use the concept of a relay race. It's my background, not running, heaven forbid. It's the fact that you pass the baton. Things are long-term effort. And there's no other group that understands the team than our staff and our city manager. So our city manager operates essentially with a sports paradigm most of the time. And that's because it's important. Teamwork is really important. So I spent 3 decades in the private sector, very, intense high-tech, biotech sector. I can guarantee you that our city staff, our senior management team, and our city manager bring the same level of dedication, teamwork, expertise, and knowledge of how to get the job done than any I've met in the private sector. We should be very proud of that. So I've probably gone on longer than I should. I am going through my notes and trying to think through, did I leave anybody or anything out? I'm sure I left lots of people out. Let me end by just, in the end, when you get home at sometimes 1 a.m. from a long council meeting, it's really important to have family. And I very much very much want to thank Flynn for all of her patience, all of her hard work in keeping me sane during this period of time. So that's really all I got to say. Thank you all very much. It's been a wonderful, wonderful honor to have served the residents of Sausalito for 8 years. It's been the honor of a lifetime. And so thank you all very, very much.
Great, thank you. Thank you, the three of you. So now we will, in our Zoom fashion, we will thank the three of you and go on to our next item on the agenda, which is the swearing in of our newly elected city council members. We've got Janelle Kelman, Melissa Blaustein, and Ian Sobieski. So Heidi is going to welcome them to our Zoom meeting and give them the oath of office. So welcome to our new council members.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It gives me great pleasure to be able to conduct the swearing in. It's the city's tradition to have the city clerk provide the swearing in, so that's the reason why I'm here. As you can see, given our virtual meeting platform these days, we're doing things a bit differently this year. So before I begin, I just wanted to explain the next couple steps in this Zoom swearing in process. So first, I will call upon each council member-elect individually. Second, each council member-elect will be asked to repeat the oath of office. Third, after stating the oath of office, each council member-elect will sign the oath of office. This is a procedural requirement given the virtual meeting platform. Fourth and last, after signing the oath of office, each council member-elect will put on their City of Sausalito pin. Both a copy of the oath and the pin have been given to each council member-elect prior to this meeting. So with that, I will first start with council member-elect Janelle Kelman.
Hi, good evening.
Hi, welcome.
Thank you.
So please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Janelle Kelman,
do solemnly affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
And that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Now please sign your oath of office.
I have it.
And after signing it, yep. Thank you. Thank you. Congratulations, Councilmember Kelman. You may now put on your pin.
Thank you. Hold on one second. I've asked a friend to join me tonight, my friend Jake. It's official. It's official. Thank you. Thank you so much, Heidi.
Okay, with that, we will go on to Councilmember-elect Melissa Blaustein.
Hi, Heidi. Good evening, everyone.
Hi. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Melissa Blaustein,
do solemnly affirm
that
I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
Against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States.
And the Constitution of the State of California.
And the Constitution of the State of California.
That I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
That I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
And that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
And that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Now please sign your oath.
Have a pen.
Thank you, and congratulations, Councilmember Blaustein. You may now put on your pin.
Thank you. My boyfriend Cameron Tuttle is going to put my it's very sweet. He's going to put my pin on. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we will head on over to Councilmember-elect Ian Sobieski. Hi, Ian. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Ian Patrick Sobieski.
Do solemnly affirm.
Do solemnly affirm.
That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
And the Constitution of the State of California.
And the Constitution of the State of California.
Against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
Against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States.
And the Constitution of the State of California.
And the Constitution of the State of California.
That I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
That I take this obligation freely without any purpose of evasion or mental reservation.
And that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon I'm about to enter.
And I will well faithfully discharge the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
You may now sign your oath.
All right. And
Thank you, and
Thank you.
Congratulations, Councilmember Sobieski, and now you may put on your pin.
This is my beloved Julie, and she will. Oh, thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, and I welcome you all to the City Council. So with that, I will hand this back over to the mayor.
Great. Thank you so much, Heidi, and congratulations and welcome to Councilmember Kelman, Councilmember Blaustein, and Councilmember Sobieski. Huge applause. Thank you all. Welcome. I think we'll open it up to public comment, and then we'll let you each say a few words if you would like to. So are there any members of the public who would like to speak tonight? Okay, we've got Eva Crescent, welcome.
Thanks so much. It's Eva Crescenti, and I'd like to congratulate the 3 new members of the Sausalito City Council. It was really, really interesting listening to the last hour or so of comments about the performance of the outgoing members of City Council. I do want to point out that Sausalito City Council has been made up primarily of white property owners. And a lot of people who have a lot of interest in real estate. And unfortunately, that's resulted in some pretty skewed representation. They're very good at representing the interests of white property owners. And so I very much hope that the new members of City Council will take a more balanced view of the people they represent. We've seen an enormous amount of displacement, and very little has been done, if anything, to abate that. So I say this with great hope that the three new members will be able to rise to the occasion. The country and the state and the Bay Area are facing serious issues. Housing is definitely one of them. And we've watched, we've been in the RBRA meetings and we've been in the BCDC meetings, and we've watched as more and more vulnerable people have been displaced from the Bay, the so-called anchor outs or mariners. And so I hope the three new members will look more proactively at that situation. I hope they'll look more proactively at the plight of renters who may become homeless themselves in Sausalito. There's a great deal that needs to be done, and so I'm very hopeful. And I also hope that they'll take a closer look at transparency. We do need to see the Form 700s on the Sausalito City Council website. I made that request to Mill Valley City Council, and they made that happen within a week. And I've continued to ask, and I still don't have an answer from Heidi about whether that's been affected. But those Form 700s should be immediately placed on the Sausalito City of Sausalito website so everyone can see, and particularly amid the issue of climate change, if people are invested in Chevron, if they're invested in different quote unquote energy companies like Schlumberger or Exxon, what have you.
Your 3-minute time has elapsed.
Great, thank you. Laurel Druk, welcome.
Hi, thank you. My name's Laurel, and on behalf of the Marin County Young Democrats, we would like to congratulate the three new City Council members, and we really look forward to working with you in the future. So thank you so much.
Great, thank you, Laurel. Thanks for being here. Okay, any other members of the public like to comment? Okay, seeing none, we'll close public comment, and if any of you would like to make remarks, that would be great. Janelle, should I start with you?
Sure. Thank you very much, Mayor Cleveland Knowles. Well, good evening, everybody. I want to send a huge thank you, take a deep breath, right, to the residents of Sausalito for your incredible support during the campaign. You know, I spent this election talking to so many of you to get feedback around how we can collaborate and develop solutions together. This was truly, in so many ways, a life-changing election. Thank you so, so much. I absolutely love Sausalito. I've been here for 20 years, 10 years on the Planning Commission. I'm excited for this transition, and I am so eager to get started. Again, I am extremely honored that you have selected me, and thank you for joining tonight, and I look forward to seeing you all very soon.
Great, thank you, welcome. Melissa Blaustein.
Great, thank you so much, Mayor Cleveland Knowles. And I really want to acknowledge the three outgoing council members and thank them for their tremendous work to our community and everything that they've done to contribute, and really would echo a lot of the great comments that we heard from everyone here tonight. And I really am so thankful to the community that we all share in. I love Sausalito so much, and I know that this is a very difficult time for all of us. This year has been a difficult time, but it's also been a really beautiful time for us to demonstrate what a special place we are and the ways that we've shown up for each other. And I just want to say to everyone who supported me, thank you. But for those of you who didn't, I will continue to show up for you. I look forward to collaborating with you and working with you. And I just want to make one final plea to all of you that are on the call during the next 3 weeks while we are focused on another shelter in place, please shop locally during the holidays, and please take food to go from our local restaurants so that they can get through this difficult time. Again, this is such an honor. I'm so thankful to everyone who has supported me, and I'm really looking forward to the work ahead.
Great, thank you and welcome. Ian Sobieski.
Thank you very much, Mayor. I wanted to start out the way I started out every Zoom forum, by acknowledging all the incumbents, the two that are continuing and we're not up for election this time, and the three who have served, Joan Cox, Joe Burns, and Ray Withy, for really their remarkable achievements over these past several years, and the grace and contributions of all of them. So thank you. I want to really thank everyone who got behind my campaign, who encouraged me to run, who helped me learn, and that includes the two candidates, Janelle and Melissa, as well as Vicki and Aaron, who provided so much education to me, and Joan Cox as well. Interacting with everyone helped me learn and clarify my own thinking and ideas, and I thank you. I want to thank my Julie that you just saw pin the lapel on me. Today is her birthday, and she said this is what she wanted for her birthday. So I thank everyone. And as this election shows, each and every vote absolutely counts. Every little thing you do helps toward the outcome. So however we want to be involved, this is a story, whatever the ultimate outcome is of the recount, it nevertheless doesn't change the story that this event tells. That's remarkable. I want to thank my sister who's watching from New York City, and particularly my 86-year-old dad who's in Virginia and is tough as nails, was skiing last year with me here, and I'm sure is still up, even though, and has learned something about local government, even though it's midnight probably on the East Coast. In 1968, 2 years after defecting from Poland to come to the United States, he took his family on a driving tour of the American West and spent the night in Sausalito, and remarked to me what an incredible arc it is across time to imagine then that his not yet born son would be on the city council at this gem by the bay. So it's a tiny star of light in this dark moment of COVID, and I thank everyone for their support and encouragement. So thank you.
Great, thank you, Ian, and welcome, and happy birthday to Julie. Jill, do you have any comments before we move on?
Just welcome, and I'm so excited for the level of talent that we have continuing on the city council, and the three people coming in that are so enthusiastic and talented, all of them. So I think we're in a really great spot right now. I'm excited. Great,
absolutely. Here, I'll second that. Welcome everyone. I'm very excited to be working with all of you. Great, so we can move on to the next item on our agenda, which is the presentation to the outgoing mayor. As most people probably know, in our form of local government, we rotate mayor and vice mayor, usually annually. And so this is that time. So I think our city manager, Adam Pulitzer, has a brief presentation. It's 9:44. And we'll open it up to public comment. Thank you. Adam, welcome back.
Thank you, Mayor Cleveland Knowles, and just a welcome and congratulations to our three new council members. I agree with what Councilmember Hoffman just said. I think your fresh perspective and new energy will help build on the many successes and introduce some new opportunities that maybe this group of leaders, including myself, weren't able to see through the trees. So I think that this is as Council Member or Vice Mayor Withy had said prior to departing, he's handed off the baton. The council's handed off the baton. And that's what we're doing tonight with the mayor nominations that'll come up after my comments here. But I do think, again, in our tradition, we do want to appreciate and thank the mayor. It is a very tough job. You have to manage the meeting, You have to plan in advance to what items are on the agenda, and you have to do so while getting the city's business done, but also balancing the community's needs. And you're looking both locally, regionally, and obviously affected by what's going on throughout the entire state, and in this year, what's been going on throughout the entire country and throughout the entire planet based on the effects of COVID-19 and the pandemic. Susan, it was interesting. I thought we would not have a lot to reflect on, but when I went back and paused for a moment, there's quite a bit to celebrate. Some of it's already been shared, so I'm going to skip through all of that. But I wanted to start with your very first meeting, which was the general plan town hall meeting we had at IDES Hall, and kicking off the year with the meeting at the IDES Hall, and you introducing to the community, the use of the fingers and hands to celebrate public comment. And again, it was really fun to watch. Every time someone from the public got up, regardless if you agreed or not, we supported them. And I think, again, this theme of working together and staying connected as we move through these difficult times, you kind of kicked that off at the start of the year by introducing that technique. So thank you for that specifically. Then we were transitioning from the General Plan Advisory Committee to what you created, which was the General Plan Working Group that had two planning commissioners. Our new council member, Kelman, joined you, as well as Joan Cox. And the good work and the intense work that group did, and obviously under your leadership, and again, helped propel us from where we were last year around this time to where we are this year near the end of the process. So again, I think it's worth pausing for a second and just recognizing the amount of work that went into that effort, and again, the leadership that you provided, both for the working group and then as those items came forward to the council for further discussion. We were off to a great start. We then moved into the strategic planning session in February. And again, this is an opportunity where we had the right person in the right position to help lead that effort. We held the 2-day offsite meeting to go through the strategic plan. I thought it was very thorough, very measured, and put us in a great position moving forward as we started the next 6-year cycle. We had just completed a 6-year cycle, and we are now moving forward in the next 6-year cycle. And again, your leadership involving the leadership team and the other council members clearly helped us move through that process in an effective and successful way. And I still think, even though we had to put a lot of those things on hold because of the pandemic and the economy, I still think it gives this council an opportunity to start from there, not start from zero. So I think that was time well spent, and obviously something that you managed. You managed the process. Obviously, the pandemic hit us in March, and that obviously was a game stopper. We had to all pause, shut down city business, and really look at how this was going to affect us here in town. Obviously, affect us again countywide, statewide, and then obviously what we have seen happen at the national level. But your experience and your role in San Francisco, I think, was a real benefit to the city of Sausalito, because you were a part of a much bigger organization and were able to bring those insights as the mayor to our leadership team and help us. And that extended to the Marin County mayors and Marin County Council of Mayors and council members, where the mayors were meeting as a committee of the MCCMC to work together. Again, this was not a Sausalito only issue. This was a much larger issue, and we teamed together with your leadership with the other mayors here in the county. I'm skimming through some things here quickly to get to just the highlights here. It is important to note this. Councilmember Hoffman said this earlier, but this was a very tough year, and the mayor's job is hard, and especially when you look at the lateness of the hour. Right now, we not have anything of real great substance other than a lot of nice recognition and support of those that have served and those that are serving. But you have to stay focused, and the mayor doesn't have the ability to drift off. You're managing public comment. You're managing making sure that each council member gets to share their point of view. You're trying to bridge any gaps to get to those 5-0 votes that you've heard some mention that we had great success again under your leadership this past year. And so that's a real job. And sometimes your own opinion, your own thoughts get lost because you're managing the meeting and don't have the ability to jump in there all the time. But I think you did a good job when it was needed to step in and share your thoughts and opinions on things. Lastly, I'm not going to list all of the committees and commissions and boards and working groups. There are many, but one that I know is important to you, obviously the Sustainability Commission is important to you, and you talk about some of those efforts. But one that you and I share a great interest is the MCCMC Homelessness Committee that you serve on, that Mayor Kate Collins leads for all of the county cities here, and the great work that committee has done, and especially recognizing the great work related to the mobile shower programs that are in Novato, San Rafael, and here in Sausalito. So I just want to thank you for your leadership and commitment to that program. It is meaningful, it's making a difference, and I think that committee is going to go on to continue to do great things here in our county to help those in need. So with that said, Mayor Cleveland Knowles, on behalf of the community, thank you for your leadership during what most of us would say was a very, very difficult and challenging time. Thank you, Mayor.
Oh, thank you very much, Adam. I really appreciate those kind words. It means a lot. So I'll open it up to public comment on this item. Is there anyone who would like to speak? See Peter Van Meter and then Aaron Roller. Welcome, Peter. Welcome back.
Thank you. As a frequent observer of your year as being mayor and a participant in council meetings, I just like to say that how much I appreciate your steady hand and approaching the job in a professional manner, making absolutely certain that everybody that wanted to participate, particularly under this new format of the Zoom meetings, had an opportunity. There are many times I know when someone had trouble even logging on or to say something, you come back and say, can you get on now, and so on. So you made absolutely certain that every member of the public had an opportunity to be heard. I know you've been under a lot of, I'm guessing, a lot of stress as managing your time as a full-time employed person, as well as doing all your city work and having a family that you have to take care of with a couple of really active kids and a lot of duties right there. And so you've been able to manage your time and come through and do a very effective job for this city. And I just want to say how much I, and I'm sure a lot of other your constituents, appreciate that.
Great. Thank you, Peter. Very nice. Aaron Roller, welcome.
Okay. Hey, everybody. Sorry. Can you hear me okay?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Hey.
Good.
First of all, I just want to say, go off agenda a little bit and just say thanks to the volunteers that are the outgoing members and the new members coming in. It really, it's amazing just to see the amount of effort you all have to put in to make our city so great. Also want to say that I generally don't do these public comments because you all stay up so late, and just try and add where I can. And I really appreciate that when I do reach out, that you hear what I say, and you really make it feel like we can make a difference when we're out here. And this has been a tough year, and just leading the PBAC to become a really solid organization. And I just really want to say thank you to you, Mayor, for making that a successful time this year, and really just helping guide me and making the right decisions, and helping me, kind of walking me away from the cliff sometimes where I need to do well, and recognizing that it's my passion that leads me to just really trying to help and make a better city. And really appreciate your leadership, and would love to have you for mayor forever if we could. But you know, you got to get back to your life and your family, which has done such amazing things for our town. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Aaron. You have amazing Christmas lights going on there. And thank you for your leadership on feedback. We really appreciate it. Uh-oh, we've got a Knowles, Jeff Knowles. Don't know if we should let them speak, but welcome.
Hello, can you hear us?
Yes, we can.
So we are here to give an unbiased critique of the mayor's performance over the last year. So sit down, it's going to take a while. So in all seriousness, when 2020 was approaching, as a family, we wondered whether Susan should take on the additional role of being mayor. And we really soul searched about it and said, okay, we can do this as a family. Susan can do it. Let's do it. And then COVID hit. And her day job exploded. And the pressure of being mayor intensified. And of course, she rose to the challenge, as we knew she would. And so we're not going to take a full 3 minutes. I just want to say we are so proud of you. And we are so glad to have a little bit of you back after you're not mayor anymore. So I don't know if you kids have anything you want to say.
Yeah, I just want to say I think this is a kind of bittersweet moment, because while I do love, you know, kind of slyly bringing up in conversation the fact that my mom is the mayor, I also like to have my mom around. And so definitely, you know, working two jobs and being, or like, you know, working two different kind of like sides is very time consuming, and you've got us to worry about. And so very happy that you're gonna be back.
What I was gonna say was, it just must be so difficult to like do all of that, like still be able to eat dinner with us every night. It's just, we're so grateful that like you can still be there and have like your full-time job, still be able to be on the city council and be the mayor, no less. Just we're very grateful for you, Mom.
Good job. Welcome back.
Yep.
We love you.
Good job, Mayor.
Thanks, you guys. Appreciate that. Very sweet. Karen Culligan, welcome.
Oh man, impossible to follow up on that one. Listening in, I'm feeling very appreciative of all of the staff and volunteers today, so thanks to everyone. Mayor, of all of the years to be mayor, you sure picked a lousy year, but in fact, your timing could not have been better. As a city, we're extremely fortunate to have your leadership in 2020, even-keeled, experienced, thoughtful. I can only imagine the personal sacrifices you made over the course of this year, and I deeply appreciate it. So many, many thanks to you. I actually had been thinking about bringing in my personal attorney to challenge the vote on item 7F coming up so that you could just remain mayor, maybe even forever. But he was on other cases and he got COVID, so he's not available. So we're gonna have to let you go, but thank you very much.
Thank you, Karen. Great. And thank you for your service on the feedback and everything else you do. Joan Cox, welcome back.
Hello. Susan, you know, as one of the few attendees to this meeting who has actually served as mayor, I know and feel your pain. I also know, you know, you and I are both municipal lawyers who have extremely demanding careers. So I know just what it took for you to be able to devote the time and energy to carrying out your role this year, particularly in the midst of a pandemic. And when I was mayor, I did not have a family to attend to or even a puppy at that time. So I cannot imagine juggling that on top of a full-time job. So I'm very impressed with that, but I'm also so impressed because you and I served both on the city council and on the general plan advisory committee. And in looking back, I was so impressed by your patience. You know, we had so many community members who were so invested in sharing their perspective. And I recall when I was running meetings, I was really attached to moving swiftly through our agenda items. And I think I lacked some of the patience that you have provided. And so you have really inspired me with your commitment to hearing every single comment from every single resident to its fullest, even though it meant sometimes we went till 1 or 1:30 in the morning. And so I really appreciated the effort that you made this year to carry out your duties in the midst of a global pandemic, in the midst of having to work through Zoom instead of in person, as we're so accustomed to. So kudos to you, great job. And the city has been really well served by you this year. Thanks.
Thank you, Joan. Much appreciated. Uh-oh, we got the whole, these council members can't leave. All right, we've got Joe Burns and then Ray Whippy. And somehow the screen just got big. Joe, welcome back. 3 minutes, that's it.
Well, thank you. I will be quick. I just want to thank you for being mayor as a resident and not just a council member. You make our community better. And it's so fun to see your family there and know that you have relief around the corner. And let me just tell you that the debrief and the unwind happens really quickly. So you'll be amazed how fast it goes. Thank you so much for your year. And I say I wish it was different, but I don't wish anybody else to be at the helm during this last year either for everything that we had to go through. So congratulations on getting us through it and for your mayor year.
Great, thank you, Joe. And I can see your unwind is happening really quickly too. You got your baseball on. Thank you. All right, Ray. Welcome.
All right, now I got to get used to, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, now I got to get used to how to be an ordinary resident on this Zoom thing. So I got back on simply to say a huge thank you to Susan for this year. Unless you have been mayor, you have no clue what this year was like. And it was my honor to have been Susan's vice mayor this year. I went through every meeting with her as we worked through what to do, and she was always calm, analytical, a fountain of wisdom, and always got us to the right place. Susan, you did a fantastic job this year. So well done. And this resident thanks you very much. By the way, just as an aside, when I first got on the council, we used to put a 3-minute clock on city council members. Do you know that? So I'm used to this. So anyway, Susan, thank you so much.
Great, thank you, Ray. Thank you so much. Okay, is there any additional public comment? I am not seeing any. Confirm with Heidi, close public comment. And then I do just have a few. I know it's the hour is late, and I know there's been a lot of speechifying tonight. So I just ask for a small indulgence from my colleagues just to say a few words. And I'm not going to start out saying I'll be brief because we know how that goes. So I just, listening to how this meeting has unfolded tonight, I think the start of the meeting really brought this year home to me. Recognizing the organizations that have done so much to provide direct services to those in need. There are so many people. This has been a really, really hard year. And yes, it was a hard year to be mayor, but it was also a very hard year on a lot of our residents, especially our most vulnerable. And this pandemic has been a really a really tough force and has hit a lot of people disproportionately. So I just want to recognize that and thank again those organizations that are really reaching out directly. I am going to start with a few thanks. I know we've thanked a lot of people tonight. I want to thank our employees, every single employee at the city of Sausalito. This year has brought a lot of uncertainty to their jobs. It's brought a lot of uncertainty about how we work. It's brought changes to the jobs that people do. Everyone has had to be flexible and be innovative, and our entire city workforce has really risen to the occasion. So I want to thank each and every employee for sticking with it, for accommodating all of the changes, for being flexible, and for doing things that you've never been asked to do and doing more work with less resources at your disposal. And that goes from our city manager to our department heads, all the way down the line to everyone, the custodians, the gardeners, and everyone. This has already been said, I'll just say it one more time. Our boards and commissions have worked extra hard this year. We have superstar volunteers in town. They are doing an amazing job at the Sustainability Commission, the PBAC, and especially the new Economic Development Advisory Committee. They have just looked at things in new ways and brought us new ideas. So thank you to them. And then of course, residents and our community organizations have been pushing on us all year to do better, to be our best selves. And I appreciate each and every public comment and each and every request, whether it's, seems friendly or adversarial. I know that everyone is looking out for the best interests of our town and encouraging me and the rest of the council members to do the best job that we can for the town. I've already spoken about the value that I place on my fellow council members, and I wasn't really able to say a complete thank you to Tom Riley before he left, but I wanted to thank Jill and Tom for their tag teaming and their just really seamless transition, both leaving and coming. And so thank you for that. And of course, my family, who you just saw, who have really supported me this year. And lastly, we'll get to say our thank yous to Adam in January, but he was rock solid all year. And Adam, you worked triple time. You had to do 40 jobs. You had to do things you've never done before. And you got us through a tough year. And I really want to thank you for your hard work, your dedication, and for all the support that you provided to help me look good this year. And it was, we went through a lot, so thank you. As Adam said, we started out this year with priorities that look nothing like they do now. We were looking at our long-term strategic plans. I was really focused on doing more for families in town and for putting a spotlight on families in the same way that we've really highlighted seniors and age-friendly Sausalito in the past. I was excited to work on complete streets projects, bring our general plan across the line, and do some really good planning work to have sustainable growth, both economically, environmentally, and equitably. And then, COVID came along in March, and it really set us back. It demanded pretty much all of our attention, immediate attention at all levels of our city government, to pivot quickly, to keep our residents safe, to keep our employees safe, to relearn all the work that we do, to work online, and how that went. And the health consequences were first and foremost on our minds. And then the economic reality of what COVID would do to our city budget followed closely on the heels of that. And we then spent just an enormous amount of time working that out. Throughout that whole thing, Heidi Scoble, our clerk, got us up and running even more quickly than a lot of other public bodies so that we could operate efficiently. Yulia did just amazing work on our finances. And, but you know, that was just a tremendous effort to rejigger, and just really, really hard choices that we had to make at that point in time about our financial situation. And I know there's probably more tough decisions to come. But eventually, working with the city manager and Ray, we were able to kind of get back on track. And I'm really proud of the fact that we did get back on track with a lot of our major efforts this year. We continued to work on the general plan. You know, we had higher public participation in some of our efforts than we did pre-COVID. We completed 2 of our major parks, and we're looking forward to completing the 4th, thanks to the great work of Public Works and Mike Langford at Rec Park. We were able to take our land economics study and revive it to reflect COVID, and to start making some great recommendations from that. And then, you know, we had 2 other big things that happened this year. We then had the fires, and we really had those again right at our back door. The air quality, all the health implications from that. I think it's a really good wake-up call. We were very lucky here. You know, I know actually we're not quite out of fire season, but you know, we were lucky, but we had another good reminder about how we have to work locally, both on our fire protection efforts and on our global warming climate change issues. And then lastly, I just want to reflect on the killing this year of George Floyd and many other Black lives that led to really a national reckoning on race. And this was just a really important issue to confront this year. I was really gratified to see Sausalito dive into this conversation and the hard work, the staff, community, and council level to start to grapple with what we need to do in these areas and how we need to take action. I asked all of our boards and commissions to start the conversation. Other jurisdictions were forming a task force on race, equity, and inclusion. And maybe we will still do that, but I thought it was really important first for each board and commission to really think about how race and equity play out in the context of their own work, and for us to do that as a council as well. I really want to also thank our Chief of Police, John Rohrbacher, for being a partner in these conversations, for being open and being proactive, both on the body worn camera issue and on the blue line sticker issue. Chief Rohrbacher was just a great partner, and I think he listened and really responded in a very respectful and positive manner. We still have a lot more to do, and I'm looking forward to continuing the important work with all of you, our new council members, as this year unfolds. So I just wanted to conclude that I don't think any of us could have imagined a year ago what this year would look like and what the challenges this year would bring. We're not only dealing with these issues on a practical level, but I think a lot of us have also been dealing with them on an emotional level and taking an emotional toll. And I think we've seen that reflected in some of the comments and the correspondence that we've gotten. It's just been a lot of hard things to deal with. But I want to say our community has managed to stay so strong and so positive. I've seen so many examples of new and creative approaches to work with those in need, to support our local businesses and restaurants. People have really taken on the mask wearing to protect their neighbors and to stop the spread. And, you know, I think our community has really started the work to create a stronger, more equitable 94965 area. And so I think we've had a lot of silver linings. So I'm very grateful for all of those. And I'm really grateful for the new council. I'm really looking forward to working with the new mayor and the new vice mayor this year to support them in whatever way I can, and to continue the great work that Sausalito has started, and think of new ways and new ideas to continue that work. So thank you all. Thank you for indulging me at this hour, and I'm excited to work with everyone and to move on to our next agenda item, which is the election of our next mayor. So again, this is really an important aspect of our local government to have our race mayor and vice mayor. I think we call for nominations first before public comment. And I think I'm probably not alone in wanting to nominate Jill Hoffman as our next mayor. So I will just take that step. Jill has not only been an amazing city council member for the entire time that I've been on the council, but she and her family had to make the sacrifice to have Jill in active service this last year, and she's kind of missed her turn at being mayor in order to do that. And I think it's only right that she be given this opportunity this year. I know she did a fantastic job her first time around, and I think she'll be a great leader, and will be good to have a veteran at the helm with all of the challenges that we have this year. And so I'm pleased to nominate Jill, and would love anyone who would like to second that.
I'll second that nomination for Jill Hoffman as mayor.
Great. I have to ask, are there any other nominations? Great. Okay. With that, why don't we open it up for public comment? I am looking down my Zoom. I do not see any hands raised. Seems like universal affirmation. Okay, so I will ask the clerk to call the roll, please.
Councilmember Kelman?
Yes.
Councilmember Blaustein?
Yes.
Councilmember Sobieski?
Yes.
Councilmember Cleveland Knowles?
Yes.
Mayor Hoffman?
Yes, I accept. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Jill.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I'm handing you the gavel, which I don't have.
Taking the gavel. Okay, so our next order of business is take nominations for vice mayor, and I would like to nominate our top vote getter, Janelle Kelman, to serve as vice mayor. Not just that, but based on her other experience on the Planning Commission, on the GPAC, and moving us forward. So that would. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
We've got 3 seconds.
Heidi, do you want to figure out who the second is? Do we have
our former mayor Cleveland Knowles was the first to second.
Excellent, very good. Very good. And do we have any other nominations? Seeing none, do we have any public comment on this item on the agenda? Seeing none, very good. Shall we take our vote, or is it just acclamation?
We will be required to do a roll call vote. So with that, Councilmember Blaustein?
Yes.
Councilmember Sobayevsky?
Yes.
Councilmember Cleveland Knowles?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kelman?
Yes.
Mayor Hoffman?
Yes. Very good. Excellent work, team. Okay. What's next on our agenda? We have the next thing on our agenda is adjournment. But before we adjourn, I know that I believe one of our new city council members has a matter that he would like to discuss in our future agenda.
Mayor, yes, I appreciate your attention. I know this is a typically ceremonial session, but 2020 is a weird year, and we're even at a weird moment. So I actually would like to break tradition and do some actual business. As we know, the COVID-19 shutdown has been a sucker punch to some of our consumer-facing businesses, our restaurants, our retail, storefront retail, our hotels. They're going to get a metaphorical letter from the Department of Health telling them that they need to shut down or severely curtail their services. At the same time, just coincidentally, they're going to get a bill from the city of Sausalito for their business license tax that's going to be due in January. There are many ways we could try to help our businesses, and many of them are expensive, complicated, of uncertain fiscal impact. But a thing that we can do that would be simple, that we could do quickly, would be to simply not enforce the penalty for paying that bill late on a certain category of businesses. I have spoken with Adam and Marcia about our ability to do that. And though they have some discretion, the process for those businesses doing so would still involve them both applying to the city and also the city staff having to engage with them. As we know, the city staff is busy doing many things. As a gesture of help, it would be very helpful to these businesses to simply know that if they chose not to pay their business license tax on time in January, though it's still due, much like our property taxes are still due on a certain date, there would be no penalty accrued if they paid that bill late. How late is for us to decide. And what I would like to propose is that we hold a special meeting next week, next Tuesday, with the sole purpose of considering only one item. And that item is to allow certain categories of businesses, that's the hair salons, barbershops, gyms, personal care services, hotels, restaurants, and storefront and retail that gets their primary revenue from their storefront operations, the waiver or the ability to not be penalized if they pay their business license tax late. And I'd love staff to be directed to assess the fiscal impact of doing that for 3 scenarios, 1 month, 3 months, and 6 months, and for us to take that up on Tuesday. If we can afford it, it shouldn't have cost us anything. Again, they're not being forgiven this tax. It's still owed. It's simply delayed. That is a big cash flow help when they had an unexpected cash flow hit. If we can have no cash flow impact ourselves to our operations, then this is almost literally free to us and could be a big gesture. The normal process, of course, would be to wait till our January 12th meeting, but that sort of misses the point, which is, though this is materially, could materially help some businesses, I think the emotional help is even more so at this time of the season and in these particular circumstances. So I can put all that into a motion, but that's what I want to propose and see if there's any feedback from others.
Well, let me just weigh in here. So since this was not an agendized item, so this is what we're talking about right now is the context of a future agenda item. And so what I think, and Susan and everybody, and Janelle and everybody can weigh in too if you feel differently, but I think that we let staff know that we want to explore this. We want to look at the fiscal impacts, but we will look at this in the context of the agenda setting conference later this week. And if we feel that there's a need to bring a special meeting or the ability to bring, if staff can get the fiscal impact and a staff report together by next Tuesday, then we might consider a special meeting next Tuesday. If we can achieve this by some other means, we might consider that as well and discuss it in the context, and again at the agenda setting conference. So I think this is an idea worth exploring, but I think we need to look at the fiscal impacts as part of the context of it. So I don't know, anybody else want to weigh in on a process or how you want to address this? Suggestions? Go ahead, Susan.
Yeah, so it's my understanding that we can't really have a discussion about this today because it's not agendized. I think your approach, Jill, makes a lot of sense, that we would defer it to the agenda setting committee, which would be you and the vice mayor, and allow you to weigh the proposal and what staff can do without us meeting, and what staff can do in the time that we have left before the holiday.
Okay.
So I would leave it in your hands.
Okay, thanks. Anybody else want to weigh in? Hey, Mary, if you're on the line, Mary, our city attorney, I'm going to throw it to you real quick too. So anyway, for input, Janelle.
Yeah, Mayor Hoffman, thank you. I guess the question would be for the city attorney or the city manager, whether this is something that we could authorize the city manager to deal with, subject to cash flow constraints, provide us with a deadline and make the determination to proceed so long as there's no adverse effect or delay on any other city operation or project. Is that within one of the tools in our tool set? Mary?
So can I jump in here, Madam Mayor, members of the council? Congratulations, everyone, and on all of it. This item is not on your agenda, so we can't have any more continued discussion on it. I think the mayor's point and the former Mayor Cleveland Knowles' point of have agenda setting, discuss it. If it's possible to do it at a staff level, we could send you a one-way communication about that. But I think, I understand that Councilmember Sobieski would like this to be at a future agenda item. So the process would be for us to go back, working with the mayor and the vice mayor to see if that a special meeting could be called together, or if it's something we could do at the staff level and then communicate that all out as a one-way communication to all of you.
Okay, I think that's a good way to proceed. Is there anybody having opposed that? Okay, no. Okay, so then I think that this is the time to adjourn. Thank you, everybody. Well done. I'm excited. This is going to be a great year.
Yeah, congratulations to everybody. Good night.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much. Good night.